Good evening. I'll call this meeting for the Housing Authority for the City of Salem for Monday, May 23rd, 2022 to order. If the recorder will please call the roll.
Vice Chair Stapleton.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Phillips.
Here.
Commissioner Leung is absent, and sitting in for her this evening is guest Councilor Danae Medlock.
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Here.
Commissioner Nordyke.
Here.
Commissioner Varney.
Here.
Chair Hoy.
Here. Thank you. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
Somebody else.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Vice Chair Stapleton, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
There are not.
Thank you. I see we have nobody signed up for a public comment. Vice Chair Stapleton, the consent calendar, please.
Yes, I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Stapleton, seconded by Commissioner Phillips.
All right. The consent calendar consists of only one item tonight, and that is item 3.1A, the April 11th, 2022 draft Salem Housing Authority minutes. And that concludes the consent calendar.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? The reporter will please call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Leung is absent. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Nordyke.
Aye.
Commissioner Varney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stapleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Chair Hoy.
Aye. Motion passes. I see that we have no public hearings and no special orders of business, but we do have information reports. We have our program management report, and I see that we have Ms. Utes here with us. Ms. Utes, would you like to say a few words on the management report?
Good evening. I'm Nicole Utes. I'm the Housing Administrator for Salem Housing Authority. And tonight you'll see there's a blurb regarding our emergency housing voucher program, which is one we really like to spotlight, that this is a program that's really working in our community, and it's pulling together great collaboration. It's our voucher program with the help of outreach navigators, landlord navigators, and we have successfully housed 23 emergency housing vouchers. And we have 17 more out there on the street, which is more than actually what we're allotted to have. Currently, we have been allotted 34. So we're really cresting close to our max capacity of emergency housing vouchers. And this program came with administrative dollars for us to be able to help individuals remove barriers, be able to purchase furniture, be able to make security deposit payments, and take care of things that families need to quickly get them rehoused. It's been a phenomenal program, and we hope that HUD will continue this program so that we can get more housing of these emergency housing vouchers. It's set up much like the homeless rental assistance program, but it's for victims of domestic violence, those individuals who are homeless, or individuals who have been victims of sex trafficking. So very exciting. Our team has worked very hard, and many people are in homes tonight. The other thing I wanted to take note is that we did include a couple pictures of the South Fair remodel project, which is tied to Yaquina Hall. We do have 2 completed buildings. We just did a punch walk today on our second building. So we had families move back into the first building to completely rehabbed units, and they're exciting. They're refreshed for a good another 20 to 40 years of time and allow for affordable housing. Some drastic changes to the exterior and improvement to the curb appeal. We have run into some challenges with market. The market has caused some delays. The front doors are not installed on the new units because they are back ordered. We're hopefully going to get those done in the next few months, but they will kind of slowly trickle in as the project goes along. Yaquina Hall is experiencing a much more dynamic delay with the market with metering to our building. So the electric metering, which will help bring the power to the units, and our ability to get that building open was delayed till the end of this year. So we are working diligently with our contractor to ensure that we can try to deliver this on time and come up with a secondary solution in order to meet that. So that's what we have right now. We've also experienced some damage and some theft at Yaquina Hall, which has been a challenging. I believe our contractors have lost nearly $30,000 in tools and equipment from thefts from the building.
Well, that's very upsetting. Thank you for sharing that with us. I want to ask you a couple of questions, and that one is the metering issue at Yaquina Hall. Is that simply a supply chain issue, or is that a backlog with PGE, or what's the cause of that?
That is a supply chain issue. Merritt, who is the contractor on that, has indicated he has 12 other projects and they're not able to get meters for them as well. We are looking at options. These were independently metered. We're working with the bank, the investors, Oregon Housing to see if we can change this to a single meter, and then SHA pays the entire bill, and it could offset with the utility allowance costs that we provide the clients by making this change. So we are trying to come up with solutions that could expedite this, but right now they're not even certain that it could be pushed back that far, or if they're just tired of telling people that they don't have them yet and they've pushed them that far out. So there is a supply chain issue on certain items. We're seeing it a lot in electrical and indoors and hardware for sure.
Thank you. And I want to go back to the emergency voucher program for a moment. I just want to thank you and your staff for your amazing work on this program. It would have been really easy to say no to this program, but you said yes, even though you were probably past your capacity. And I know that those 23 people that you've housed and the potentially 17 more are, you've changed their lives. These are the most vulnerable people in our community. And thank you for that amazing work to take care of them and get them housed. I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. And on the HUD's dashboard for Oregon, Salem Housing is number 4 in being able to utilize our emergency housing vouchers. So that was greatly due to the collaboration in this community coming together.
That's fantastic. Are there other questions or comments for Ms. Utes? Vice Chair Stapleton.
Thank you. I noticed recently that you have a couple of job openings there at Salem Housing Authority. Would you like to speak to any of those? I know I was excited reading them, just dreaming of the perfect person who's going to step up and take that position and really help you and us get some of the priorities that we have for Salem Housing Authority off and running. But I'm really excited to see those posted. And do you have any leads or any good progress there?
Yes, we encourage anybody that is interested in the work at the Housing Authority to apply. We are definitely at a staffing capacity struggle to keep positions filled. We currently have 9 going on 10 vacant positions. So staffing is very much a struggle, and keeping everybody not from burning out and managing the workload that's going around. But we are also going through a salary comparable study, trying to make sure that our agency is within market. We have some consultants on board to make sure that we have positions aligned correctly. We are making every effort to get all of those filled, and we just ask for the community's patience during our short staffing. And we have a lot of great new employees that are quickly catching on, and we hope to be past this here in the near future for sure.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Ms. Utes? All right, well, thank you. And thank you for working through the staffing challenges. And I look forward to meeting the new professionals that you're hiring on. I'm sure they'll be wonderful additions to the Housing Authority.
Thank you.
If there's nothing further, I think we are done. So the Housing Authority is adjourned.
Okay, I'm going to call to order the City of Salem Urban Renewal Agency meeting for May 23rd, 2022. If you'd call the roll, Amy.
Board Member Stapleton.
Here.
Board Member Anderson.
Likewise.
Board Member Phillips.
Here.
Board Member Leung is absent. Guest Councilor Dene Medlock. Here. Board Member Gonzalez.
Here.
Board Member Hoy.
Here.
Board Member Nordyke.
Here.
Board Member Varney.
Here.
Chair Bennett.
Here. Okay. Are there any additions or deletions, Councilor Hoy?
No.
Okay. I don't have anyone signed up for public comment. So why don't we go to the consent calendar?
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Second by Councilor Anderson.
So we have item 3.1A, the April 25th, 2022 draft urban renewal agency minutes, and that concludes the consent calendar.
Very good. Any discussion? Okay, Amy, could you call the roll, please?
Board Member Gonzalez.
Aye.
Board Member Hoy.
Aye.
Board Member Nordike.
Aye.
Board Member Varney.
Aye.
Board Member Stapleton.
Aye.
Board Member Anderson.
Aye.
Board Member Phillips.
Aye.
Board Member Leung is absent. Chair Bennett.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. No special orders of business or public hearings. We'll go to information reports. Kristen, did you want to speak to this at all?
The only item on the information reports are administrative purchases, and it's just one contract item for municipal advisors for financial services.
Great. Okay. Is there any discussion, any questions, anything you want to talk with in the Urban Renewal Agency? Okay. We are adjourned.
I think we need to call the roll on that one first, Mr. Mayor, don't we?
On which is that, Councilor?
Did we call the roll on the consent calendar?
Yes, we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's
No, if
okay.
you want to, yeah, go ahead. If there's anything.
No, sorry. She did that. I'm sorry. I didn't think we did it.
Okay. Then I'm going to call to order the City of Salem City Council meeting for May 23rd. If the recorder, please call a roll.
Councilor Stapleton.
Here.
Councilor Anderson.
Here.
Councilor Phillips.
Here.
Councilor Leung is absent. Guest Councilor Medlock.
Here.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilor Hoy.
Here.
Councilor Nordike.
Here.
Councilor Varney.
Here.
Mayor Bennett.
Here. Okay. Any additions or deletions, Councilor?
Yes, I move approval of additions and deletions to the agenda.
Second.
Second by Stapleton.
We have item 3.3B. We have a revised report that corrects the neighborhood association listed in the report, corrects it from West Salem to South Gateway, which are not very close to one another.
No.
And we have item 5B, a new report added to 5B.
5B, okay. Very good. Any discussion? Okay, the recorder, please call a roll.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordike.
Aye.
Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung is absent. Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, now's a chance for council and city manager comment. Any councilors want to comment? Yes, Councilor Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett. It's been a long couple of years, but last week, I believe sometime last week, we passed the kind of the gruesome milestone of 1 million deaths in the United States of America due to COVID-19. And we're seeing cases increase, across the country and here locally. I'm back to caring for, patients every shift, usually multiple patients every shift who have COVID. But the good news now compared to 2 years ago is that we have multiple safe and effective vaccines. Most of the patients I'm caring for, have had at least one vaccine, if not fully vaccinated and boosted, and most of them get to go home or discharged from the hospital. I am, thrilled and relieved that everyone in our household, including children, just over the age of 5, are now fully vaccinated and boosted. The recommendations for vaccine right now are pretty simple at this moment. Everybody age 5 or more can be fully vaccinated and boosted. So that's typically 3 shots. Reach out to your primary care doctor and learn more. But these are rigorously tested. The evidence is clear. The only side effect is relief. So I look forward to the motion we'll have later this evening to also discuss, National Gun Violence Awareness coming up this Friday. But those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, on a pretty minor note, I did what never has been done in history before, in that I put my cell phone on the top of my car and I drove away, and it fell off someplace between our house and Godfrey's where we were buying plants. So just for fellow councilors and for the city staff, I'm trying to get a new cell phone, but I don't have one now. You won't be able to reach me or text me. Now, to a much more serious matter. Back in 2021, I think it was in September, we passed resolution number 2021-2, condemning institutional racism and white supremacy. This is an issue that has plagued our society, and the council took a good stand against it. And we condemned and repudiate the belief system of white supremacy and racism, and is committed to elimination of all forms of racism everywhere it exists. We affirmed our commitment to ensure that all members of the community are free from acts that are rooted in racism, discrimination, intolerance, bigotry, and hostility. And I think something is in the national scene in the past, week, 10 days, we've had a real act of domestic terrorism in Buffalo. And I won't even mention the gun situation, because I think we can discuss maybe that with Councilor Phillips' motion. But this was clearly racially inspired. The gunman, who was 18 years old, attacked a grocery store in a predominantly Black area of Buffalo. And this is just reprehensible. It's, as I said, it's an act of domestic terrorism. And in keeping with what we said in our resolution 2021-2, I would hope that the rest of the council would join me in condemning this. This is an abhorrent act, and we as a council need to take the strongest position we can against this sort of activity, even if it is all the way across the United States, because if we don't take an action and the rest of the country doesn't take an action, it could be in Oregon the next time. So I am appalled by this, and I hope the rest of the council joins me in condemning this act of terrorism, racially directed terrorism in Buffalo. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I would join you and assume, along with anyone's comment, that they're absolutely stunned by this kind of really horrific behavior. And they're, in a horrible way, thank God it's that far away. In a horrible way, how close is it to us? So thank you, Councilor, for bringing this up. Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to underscore and co-sign on everything my colleague from Ward 2 just said. It's a horrific, horrific thing. And the more you hear about the details, the more horrific you realize it is. And we have to condemn it no matter what, always. And not just the act, but the thoughts and the things that drove those thoughts and drove those belief systems. We need to root those out because it's not okay. And it's not a good trend.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up, Councilor Anderson. I appreciate it. And on a much, much, much lighter note, I'm going to take back all of the thoughts I had today about you not returning my calls, because now I know you don't have a phone. So thank you.
That's pretty normal for me, Council President Hoy.
Okay. I wanted to just mention I had the opportunity earlier or last week to go out and meet with 4 just outstanding students at Queen of Peace that won a national honor from one of the national science organizations for work they've done. I'm going to make sure we get to take a look at it in a couple of other of our subcommittees. It dealt specifically with breaking down plastics in the soil, which is really tremendous problem, and one that each of us experience. We don't know it, but we are experiencing it because of the breakdown in plastics to microplastics and the entry into the food chain. If you ever have a chance, I'll tell you, this is a remarkable group of students, an outstanding science teacher of the year out there. And it's a fascinating piece of work they did. I felt very fortunate to be able to go out, meet with them, give them a certificate of recognition from the city on all of our behalf for bringing a really positive view of Salem, Oregon to a national honor. These are 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So if you ever feel like you're not achieving anything yet, take a look at these. This is what achievement really looks like. It really is quite remarkable. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Vanessa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of comments I'd like to add. First of all, thank you, Councilors Anderson, Hoy, and Mr. Mayor for bringing up the Buffalo shooting. There's a reason why our communities of color have fears for their safety, because the greatest fear, the greatest assumption that we can make that would be false is that it can never happen here.
Right.
And so it's important that all of us show our support for our communities of color when acts of hate against Asian Americans, Black Americans, all of our communities of color, all of our indigenous communities, these things happen and can happen just about any place. So yes, it is important that we condemn in the strongest terms, not just the actions, but the completely vile thoughts that lead to those actions. So thank you to my peers, and I'm sure we are all united in agreement on that. So I'd like to move on to discuss a couple other things. First of all, we are still in the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I want to remind you, do any of these headlines sound familiar? The Oregonian headline, Exodus of Mental Health Workers Seeks State Response. Pamplin Media, Crisis Mode, Oregon's lack of mental health resources remains large concern. Or the Lund Report, stating behavioral health slammed by worker shortage in Oregon. On my Facebook page a few weeks ago or so, I posted another article from the executive director of NAMI, Oregon. That's NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness. And our executive director pointed out that we are still struggling as a state in terms of getting mental health services going. I know that our legislature, including Representative Hoy, have been voting to support addressing this backlog of mental health services. And as we know, whether you're looking for a job in public safety, a job at the city of Salem, a job with the Salem Housing Authority, this is a very tough job market for a lot of reasons. So approving the funds towards mental health is the first step, but we know it may take months before we get to the place where we need to be. So a lot of work remains. So I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the mental health and behavioral health workers out there. Whether you work in our Salem-Keizer Public School District, maybe you work in the Oregon State Hospital, maybe you work in the Psychiatric Crisis Center here in the Salem area, maybe you work with Marion County Public Health. We have mental health workers who are using chewed gum and sticks sometimes to hold this system together. This is an arena that is rife with burnout and turnover because the work is so exhausting. To care for people who have endured unspeakable things is exhausting. So I want to extend my gratitude to each and every one of you and remind my peers that we need to do everything we can to support mental health crisis response. Next, I want to cordially invite you all to the Homeless Memorial Service that will be taking place this Thursday, May 26, 4 to 6 p.m. This memorial is hosted by the Arches Project, and it is a memorial dedicated to all of the persons who died while experiencing homelessness in our area. This will be hosted at Marion Square Park. So please join me if you are able to come and show your support for many of the folks who passed away over the last year. Some of them died cold, alone, and in pain. And so this Thursday will be an opportunity for us to come together as a community and show our support and show our hope in a brighter future, and to show everyone who's experiencing homelessness right now that they matter and that their lives are worthy of dignity and respect. So last but not least, we recently celebrated Armed Services Day as a nation. And I want to personally thank the relatives of my family, Navy and Army, who have served in the military. My aunt, my uncle, each gave about 20 years of their professional careers to the Navy, crisscrossing the globe to serve. And my grandfather served in the Pacific Engagement in World War II for the Army. So please join me in thanking all of our veterans and all of those who are currently serving for their service. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kristen, let me just check for counselors for just a second. Are any other counselors?
I have something to say, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yes, I was just busy looking for this because it was so great. Just remembered, and I'm glad I did. I got an email the other day from the Youth Farm, and they gave me an update that I wanted to share with you all. It says the Youth Farm team is busy laying the groundwork for another season of growing young leaders and healthy produce. Youth Farm staff recently completed a series of training sessions for young people between the ages of 13 and 18 who are interested in joining the farm's summer crew. Over the course of the training programs, teens were taught the principles of organic farming, introduced to commonly used farm tools, learned basics of the workflow of a farm, and gained experience working as a member of a tight-knit team. Each prospective summer crew member will be evaluated for leadership and teamwork skills, work ethic, and potential for growth. A total of 80 students participated in the spring training program, and 24 will be invited to return for the summer program. The selected youth will spend their summer gaining a deeper knowledge of organic farming methods, community food systems, and food equity, all while growing fresh produce for food insecure families with diet-related illness. So they also sent me some amazing pictures of everybody working together on this program. I just thought that it was really inspirational, and happy to see what all the good things that are happening in our community. I think, you know, if you pay attention to the news, or if you are kind of in a silo of Facebook or whatever it is, you forget that really great things are happening in our community. And this was just a moment for me to kind of find my balance again, and realize that really positive things are happening, and just really excited for that. They thanked us for our support, the city's support of the Marion Polk Food Share and of the youth farm out there. So just wanted to share that happy bit of news with you all.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Rutherford.
Thank you. I want to speak to the rise in unsanctioned camping that's been occurring over the last several weeks out at Cascade Gateway Park, and share that city staff will be posting the camping areas beginning on or before June 6th, and staff will be out there to clean up any remaining garbage or abandoned property around Thursday, June 9th. The reason that we've opted for those dates is that our new community sanitation response team will be starting about that time, and we wanted to sync it up with that team so that we could have an ongoing presence for a period of time to make sure that things stabilize in that area and that we don't see an immediate surge again after property's been cleaned up. So the Parks Division will be working to restore the space and have a target opening day of July 20, or the summer in July, to reopen to the public.
Very good. I'm sure that will be good news to the multiple folks who have signed up to talk to us this evening about problems out in that area. So that's really good news to hear. And could you explain the kind of, we'll have a presence there? What's that mean?
So with the community sanitation response team that we are staffing up, this will allow us to visit on a regular basis. The way our current patterns for cleaning up encampments have worked is we develop a list, and then depending on availability of when we can post and when we can bring teams together to then go out and clean up, it could be multiple weeks or sometimes months between activities. With this new team, they'll be able to have a regular presence, go in and check on activity, on a daily basis. I see Gretchen has turned on her camera as well. I don't know if she may want to add to that. Gretchen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nothing to add, just letting you know I'm here if you need me.
Okay.
Thank you for explaining that.
Great. Well, I'm sure it'll be appreciated. I may call on you again, you and or Gretchen, as folks perhaps have questions during the public comment period. Okay.
Mayor, I hope you'll forgive me. I have to excuse myself about now for another event, but I know you're in great hands with my colleagues.
Yeah, we have the city manager here. Gosh, we'll be okay. Thank you. Okay, if nothing else, okay, I'm going to do some proclamations real quickly. This is a busy month, so moving out ahead of us, so there'll be a couple of these. Whereas the men and women in the armed forces of the United States have placed the security of their nation before their own safety, and America will be forever grateful for their service. And whereas Memorial Day is celebrated every year to collectively reflect on the memories of those who have served this country and to remind that freedom is never free. And whereas we honor our fallen soldiers, our military personnel, and our veterans who continue to serve for the ideals of freedom, and we pay tribute to their personal sacrifices. And whereas in Salem, Oregon, we are committed to honoring the memories of service members who perished in service to their country with reverence and gratitude. And whereas each person who lost their life in service to his or her country was a loved one who was cherished by family and friends, and each death was a tremendous loss to the community, state, and nation. Now, therefore, I, Chuck Bennett, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby proclaim May 30th, 2022, Memorial Day 2022, and call upon our residents to reflect upon the service of our courageous men and women in uniform and thank them for the ultimate sacrifice they have given to protect our freedoms and liberties. Date us this 23rd day of May 2022. Okay. Brandon?
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, you guys can hear me. Hold on just a second. Sorry, I was disabled, not by myself. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't need to talk right now. I'm not. I just was having a hard time getting into the meeting. You guys can see me now?
Yeah.
Let's see.
What's it about, Brandon?
Okay, I was gonna chat on number 8 issue later, but I can wait.
Oh, okay, that's
does
great.
That come up later?
Yeah, that'll come up later. We'll call on you then. Thank you very much. Okay. Now I got to find the next one. Okay, this is going to be received by Zachary Cardoso, president of Capital Pride. And we'll call him Zachary as soon as I'm done with this. Whereas cities, states.
Excuse me, Mayor, you're muted.
There we go, sorry. Whereas cities, states, and agencies across the United States recognize and celebrate June as Gay Pride Month, and it has become a symbolic month in which the LGBTQIA+ communities and their supporters come together in various celebrations of pride. And whereas the city values include that Salem is open and inclusive to all, including LGBTQIA+ communities, and is committed to supporting their dignity and equity. And whereas many of the residents, students, city employees, and business owners within the city of Salem who contribute to the enrichment of our city are a part of the LGBTQIA plus communities, and their contributions to our capital city can be seen in their widespread academic, political, economic, artistic, and social participation in the community. And whereas the city of Salem remains committed to protecting the civil rights of all people in an effort to forge a more open and just society, and uses our Human Rights Commission as a vehicle to do that. And whereas the city of Salem recognizes, support, and advocacy groups within our community, such as Capital Pride, Human Rights Commission, LGBTQIA plus Intersectional Rights Task Force, PFLAG Salem, Rainbow Youth, Gay Men's Social Club of Salem, Salem Lavender Women, and Salem Transgender Support Network as contributing organizations that embody the essence of the 1969 spirit that was felt at the Stonewall more than 50 years ago. Now, therefore, I, Chuck Bennett, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby proclaim June 2022 as Pride Month and invite everyone to reflect on ways we all can live and work together with a commitment to mutual respect and understanding while furthering acceptance and diversity in our community, dated this 23rd day of May 2022. And I want to invite Zachary Cardoso, President of Capital Pride, to receive the proclamation.
Excuse me, Mayor. Unfortunately, we don't, Zachary has not joined the meeting. So.
He hasn't? Oh, darn. Okay. Well, if he shows up, we'll have him come down to the office here and get this thing.
Okay, great.
Excellent. Okay. And finally, whereas the city of Salem includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their strength, wisdom, and experience to our community. And whereas the communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are welcomed, included, and supported. And whereas Center 50 Plus and the city of Salem recognizes the need to create a community that provides the services and supports older Americans who need to thrive and live independently for as long as possible. And whereas Northwest Senior and Disability Services also strives to promote dignity, independence, and health, as well as honor, choice, and empowerment. And whereas in the last year, Northwest Senior and Disability Services has initiated services with 9,353 people in 5 counties, Marion, Polk, Yamhill, Tillamook, and Clatsop, in addition to ongoing program and case management through Medicaid, the Older Americans Act, and state-funded programs. And whereas NWSDS collaborates with Center 50 Plus and multiple community partners to ensure seniors and adults with disabilities experience professionalism, integrity, service, and compassion as they access services. Now, therefore, I, Chuck Bennett, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as Older Americans Month and encourage every resident to recognize the contributions of our older residents, help to create an inclusive society, and join efforts to support older Americans' choices about how they age in our community. Date is this 23rd day of May 2022, and to receive this are Susie Deeds from Northwest Senior and Disabled Services and Marilyn Daly from our Center 50 Plus.
Thank you so much, Mayor Bennett. Northwest Senior and Disability Services and Center 50 Plus has been partnering for many years to provide support to older adults and their families through caregiver training, support, and health and wellness resources. Northwest Senior and Disability Services not only so often we're identified as providing Medicaid type programs, but we offer so much more through the Older Americans Act, from home delivered meals to mental health programs, health and wellness programs, options counseling to help seniors planning for the future. And this month we're offering, I'm sorry, you guys, the lights went out here because I'm in the office alone here. And this month we're offering some virtual presentations to help educate folks about programs offered through the Older Americans Act. So if you're interested in checking that out, it's on our Facebook page, Northwest Senior and Disability Services. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about connecting older adults with resources out there to prevent loneliness, resources like Center 50 Plus. And then next Tuesday, we're going to have Oregon Department of Veterans LGBTQ Veteran Service Officer Ian, who is amazing to listen to, speak on Don't Act, Don't Tell, and some of the ways we can support veterans. So just wanted to share that. So thank you. I really appreciate this. We're honored.
Great. Thank you very much, Ms. Deeds. Marilyn?
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you very much for the proclamation. And I just want to thank Northwest Senior and Disability Services for our longstanding partnership. It's one of our longest agency partnerships where we work together to avoid duplication so that we can serve more. And thank you very much for the proclamation tonight. And congratulations, Susie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Marilyn, this proclamation's here on my desk. You can pick it up anytime at your convenience. Okay, we have a special,
Mayor, I believe Councilor Anderson had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
No, that's all right. It's a relatively minor thing, but I'm just curious. Well, first of all, thank you, Susie and Marilyn, for the excellent work you do. The city really benefits from it. And I'm just curious as to what is the definition of an older American, because I'm pretty sure that I probably qualify and many of the other members of the council do. So if you could just, what's the age group there?
Well,
I think it's you and me, Tom.
Yeah.
And I want to mention the Aging and Disability Resource Connection is actually 18 and over. So there's just wonderful resources out there to learn about. I want to say, I don't know where that really starts, and I'll let Marilyn comment, but I'm going to tell you, prior to COVID, I called Center 50 Plus to learn about some woodworking classes. I mean, I think all of us can really utilize some of the supports through our Aging and Disability Resource Connection or Center 50 Plus. I mean, there's just so many great resources out there, like options counseling, where we're helping seniors plan for the future. I have young people come to me wanting that information. So I don't know if there's an age.
50 plus, right, Marilyn? Is that the?
That's right. What older means is just go into a room, and if you're the one that's a little bit older than the person next to you, then there you go. But we believe in supporting not just seniors, but seniors and their families. And that's the resource that we serve in our community, is helping people so that when they are ready to make any of those long-term decisions, they're in a better position because they have taken proactive steps earlier. And so 18 and older is a great age, but Center 50 Plus is for 50 and older, just so we had to pick a number.
Okay, very good. Anyone else want to ask Tom's question just to see if you're in the club? Okay. All right, I'm going to move on then to a couple of presentations. First, going to call in Bandana Shrestha, the director of AARP Oregon.
I feel like I came at the right time to define what aging is.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett and city councilors, for this opportunity to be with you and to hopefully share some great news. I'm very excited. I'm Bandana Shrestha, AARP Oregon State Director, and I'll just start out with the big news. We're really pleased to share that Mayor Chuck Bennett is the recipient of AARP Oregon's inaugural Age-Friendly Community Champion Award. And here's a picture from the recent a couple of weeks ago. Has it been almost a couple of weeks? We had the opportunity to present the award. Congratulations, Mayor Bennett. I want to tell you a little bit about the award and why we thought that Mayor Bennett was the right person for it. The Age Friendly Champion Award is designed to recognize individuals and organizations who've made significant contributions in making Oregon communities great places to live, work, and play for older Oregonians and their families. The award also seeks to build awareness about Oregon age-friendly communities and highlight the great work taking place across our state as a way to inspire new champions to work to make their communities places where people can thrive throughout their lives. So just like Councilor Stapleton was mentioning before, after world and the good work that is taking place in our communities and the great accomplishments that are going on. So Age Friendly Salem Initiative with Mayor Bennett's leadership and support is blazing trails in advancing age-friendly communities practices in our state, and I would say also our country. So once we decided that we would be making the Age Friendly Community Champion Award during Older Americans Month this year, there was no doubt who our inaugural awardee should be. Mayor Bennett committed to making Salem an age-friendly city soon after he took office as mayor, and the city has been a member of the AARP network of age-friendly communities since 2017. Since then, Age Friendly Salem, led by Center 50 Plus with Mayor Bennett's support and Mayor Bennett as its champion, has done phenomenal work. Most notably from where I sit, the year-long community engagement process that brought together hundreds of Salem residents and community stakeholders to discuss critical issues faced by older adults in the city was remarkable. The process resulted in a comprehensive assessment report and helped to identify priorities for an age-friendly action plan from social participation, housing, transportation to lifelong learning. That process also brought together and laid the groundwork for the tremendous collaboration and partnerships that became so critical for the city's work led by Center 50 Plus during the pandemic. The work that the center has done during the pandemic about focused on reducing social isolation, fighting food insecurity, building connections, helping to bring access to healthy living resources for older adults. Those were amazing, timely, and very impactful work. And, that would not have been possible without the support and championing from leadership. Communities need leadership, and Mayor Bennett is a leader who looks at his community through an age-friendly lens. His support and leadership has been critical in laying the groundwork to make Salem a great place for all who live and hope to age in the city. We had the opportunity to present that award. As you can see, we're so thrilled to recognize Mayor Bennett and his invaluable contributions with the first Age-Friendly Community Champion Award. And we invite all Oregon leaders, and especially all of you gathered here today, to continue to champion age-friendly Salem. Thank you so much, Mayor Bennett, and congratulations. And thank you for this opportunity to come and speak today at the council.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to have received that. Of course, I think it would be disingenuous not to say without the assistance of staff like Marilyn Daly, you cannot do this kind of work. She is a remarkable, remarkable person. And we spent a year working on this with as Bandana mentioned, 100 citizens that worked through such a range of issues. And it really having a chance to see what the impact of programs like this have, as we did during COVID, especially where you see sort of everything go wrong in terms of what can happen in an individual's life. This kind of program is just essential. So I want to second Bandana's suggestion that you all continue to work on this program. This is one of the largest groups we have in the city. It's a group that is can be very underserved. When you think of equity, think of your elders. They are often left out of the mix. And there are parents, there are grandparents. Well, in my case, they're I'm their grandparent and great grandparent, but it's really, this is a very, very exciting program. I hope you'll take some time with it. You'll hear about it, I think, a bit, or at least see some of the impact in our Salem. We work closely with them. It's a really great program, and it's sometimes easy to forget this large group in our community. We're one of the aging communities in the state, not one of the younger, one of the aging communities. So keep them in mind as you make decisions. They're a group where equity really needs to be focused. So appreciate this very, very much. It's very kind of you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Really
congratulations.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very kind of you. It's, yeah, this is something I'm real proud of. This and HRAP, there's a couple other things that I feel really good about that I was able to get mixed up in. So thank you. Then I want to, every once in a while we get an email or a note on one of our staff. And this is one because of our concern with traffic and really problems out on our streets, sidewalks, bikeways, et cetera. I really want to recognize an attorney from the city attorney's office, Lori Evans. Lori was recently recognized by the state of Oregon as the 2021 DUII Prosecutor of the Year. And this hit me because I lost my daughter was a couple of weeks from her wedding 25, 26, 27, whatever years ago. And her fiance was killed by a drunk driver, left dead on I-5 as the perpetrator drove off. And he was later found to be drunk at the time. I've seen so many tragedies as a function of drunk driving and feel very strongly about this. So I just want to kind of tell you a little about what her nominators had to say. Lori is always willing to go the extra mile to assist law enforcement with authoring and reviewing search warrants for impaired driving, making her stand out in her field, especially among her municipal court peers. Lori has clearly made an impact on the number of impaired driving incidents in Salem because of her tireless efforts to keep impaired drivers off the road. Congratulations for this recognition, Lori, and really thank you so much on behalf of the thousands and thousands of citizens that are probably still alive as a result of the work you've done for us. So there you are, Lori.
I'm here.
I'll call on you. And again, thank you very much. I know the council all feel this way. We really appreciate your work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to, I guess, share my condolences with you. That is something that people don't ever get through. And so, so when I just a little bit about the background of the program that I helped create, I'm fortunate to work with some amazingly dedicated DUII impaired driving officers. And when I came to the city in 2018, after I have now been a prosecutor for 24 years, I sat down with some of these amazing officers and we created a DUII refusal warrant program. And a little bit about prosecution, prosecuting DUIIs where someone does not submit to field sobriety tests and does not give a breath sample. Those are very difficult cases. Throughout my career, those have been very challenging. And so we began this program in 2020. To date, we've had 52 separate officers author 117 search warrants for DUII refusal cases. Out of those cases, we have had 86 of those have not yet gone to either trial or resolved, and very many of them haven't been arraigned yet. But we have resolved 61 of those cases. And typically with a double refusal case, it's an uphill battle all the way through. Out of those cases, we only have 4 of those cases that are going to be set for trial. And just to give you an idea of the types of impairment that we're looking at, the highest blood alcohol content in the first 30 cases, there was 0.288. There were actually 30 cases, that were 0.20 and higher. One of those was 0.2884 hours after driving. And the highest BAC we have to date was 1 hour, 15 minutes after driving, and it was a 0.390. So that's the kind of evidence that we didn't have previously prior to the warrant program. I truly appreciate you. I'm honored that you're recognizing my efforts along with the other officers that helped bring this to fruition. So I sincerely thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the City Council as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Lori. Really
thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. I'm going to go then to public comment. Called Bill Carver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members and staff. I appreciate the opportunity to file comments. I'm representing 350 Salem, and I'm speaking to agenda item 5A, the bond levy. We believe that there's been tremendous outpouring of public support for the Salem Bike Vision, and the question you have, the challenge in your agenda, is to find funds from the $300 million that has already been proposed. And we propose that you look at the three of the urban upgrades, the Fisher Road, the Pringle Road, and the McGillcrest. And I've submitted written comments on this last night. We do not believe that a center turn lane is necessary on Pringle Road or on Fisher Road. And the design of these will be resolved in the Salem Transportation Plan, which will be done starting this July, I believe. So it'll be done well in time for these projects. And we believe that something on the order of 20% or more of these projects could be trimmed and still have wonderful projects that increase the safety of Salem. And we believe safety is the primary issue that the city should focus on. And we do not believe that center turn lanes increase safety. We believe they decrease safety. And funding the path, the Salem Bike Vision's protected bike lanes is another safety measure. And finally, we think that the McGillcrest Road, which will have many developments on it, it's largely undeveloped on the north side and underdeveloped on the south side. We think that 30% of that project should be funded with system development charges. And given you have a busy evening, I'll keep it short. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
One more thing, I'm sorry. Congratulations to Councilor Hoy on his election to mayor.
Okay, Councilor Anderson.
You're muted.
Thank you for coming down, Phil. You always provide very good information. I'm just curious as to your statement where you said you believe that center turn lanes are not safety lanes and actually are the opposite. Do you have any, on what do you base that?
Victor Doja, who's an expert on this, testified at one of the bond committee meetings that left turn lanes are fine. It's when there's a undesignated center turn lane that is not the responsibility, there's not the property of either the northbound or the southbound lane. And so in Philadelphia, they used to have passing lanes on highways, and they had to discontinue the process probably in the 60s because the same thing happened. People thought that it belonged to both people. And I saw an accident once at Safeway in Kaiser where somebody was pulling out and somebody was racing down the center lane to make a left turn, hurrying to make a light from a long distance away. And the person pulling out couldn't see them because they were coming from so far off. And I think that we're okay with some left turn lanes, even on Pringle and Fisher Road. And we agree and understand that many left turn lanes will be necessary on McGilcrest because it'll be largely businesses and apartment buildings. But I don't have any statistics, but it's just, and the road is inherently wider when you have a continuous center turn lane. So that makes it harder to cross.
Thank you, Phil. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Lori Doherty.
Good evening. Can you see me and hear me?
Not really. Can you turn it up a little bit, Lori?
Okay. I'm trying to get my camera. Okay. Can you? The camera keeps going on.
There you go.
The camera keeps going on. Okay, there I am. Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Mayor Bennett and councilors and staff. My name is Laurie Doherty, and I live in Ward 1, and I'm also a coordinator of 350 Salem, Oregon. I appreciate Phil's details about things. What I want to speak to is the urgency of what you are doing. There are a lot of planning and financial processes going on, budgeting, the bond measure, our Salem, lots of different things. Our concern is that the policies and projects that result from these complex and interrelated initiatives, that they will align with Salem's climate goals. We feel that I'm an older person, one of the elders, and I am very concerned about the young people that are going to, the projects that we decide on now, they are going to have to live with for decades, and the impact on the climate, on the health of this community will be with us for decades. So that is why I want to speak to the relationship with the bond measure and what you are doing today, because many of the projects in the bond measure have to do with transportation, with as Bill was talking about safety for people in cars and out of cars. We need to reduce emissions from transportation. That's our biggest problem in terms of the climate. We know that. And the projects that come out of this bond measure, they should not be used to expand streets, which would only induce more traffic. They should be used for things that will reduce the need to be in cars, to enable people to walk, to bike, to use mobility aids, to get to where they need to go for what they want to do. The bike vision project with protected and connected network of streets where people can safely bike will do a lot to encourage people to get out of cars and to do things in a way that is healthier and more fun and less stressful. These are things that are good for the community and for the people as well as for the climate. I just want to say that this is the bond measure is a once in a generation chance to do things that will really have a benefit, and we need to make that benefit work for the safety and the health and the climate friendliness and resilience of this community. And I also want to congratulate Councilor Hoy for his election as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Virginia.
Thank you. Yes, no question, Lori. Thank you so much for coming down. I just wanted to say that I couldn't agree with you more. The chance that we have right now to make investments in climate friendly transportation options for our city is really what's driving me and why I'm so excited about what I'm putting forward and excited for the city and all of the outreach that's come in. Has just really been humbling and overwhelming at times just to see the support that we have. When you put forward an idea into the world, you never know what's going to happen. And to see it be so well received is really quite humbling. So thank you for coming down here and thanks for your support through this whole process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Alan, Scott. Alan? Okay. All right, we'll move Move on then to the consent calendar. Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Second by Stapleton.
So we have item 3.1A, the May 9th, 2022 draft city council minutes. 3.1B, the May 16th, 2022 draft city council work session minutes. 3.2A, Oregon Department of Energy Renewable Energy Grant. 3.2B, dedication of a reserve strip of property as public right-of-way on Sienna Drive Northeast. 3.3A, Federal Aviation Administration grant application for the Salem Municipal Airport Master Plan Project. 3.3B, order number 2022-11-CPC-ZC21-04, remanding the application to the Planning Commission for case number CPC-ZC21-04 for property located at 2900 block of Kubler Boulevard Southeast. And that concludes the consent calendar.
Okay. Any discussion? Yes, Councilor Stapleton.
Yeah, just looking at this, I don't know. Never mind. I think we already fixed this at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Amy, if you call the roll.
Councilor Nordike.
Aye.
Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung is absent. Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, we'll go to a public hearing 22-2221. I'll open the public hearing.
The Salem City Council will now conduct a public hearing to consider the petitioner-initiated annexation of territory located at 4314 Munkers Street Southeast and adjacent lands. The criteria applicable to the decision is SRC 260.060C. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward the applicable criteria or other criteria which the person believes to apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue prior to the close of the public hearing in person or in writing, or failure to provide statements or evidence with sufficient specificity to provide the parties and the City Council an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. A similar failure to raise constitutional issues relating to proposed conditions of approval precludes action for damages in circuit court. The hearing will begin with a staff presentation, and there are no individuals signed up to testify. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. I'm Pamela Cole, planner with the Community Development Department. Tonight, I'm presenting the staff report for annexation case number C745 for territory identified as 4314 Munkers Street Southeast and lands adjacent. I'd like to enter this staff report, attachments, and presentation into the official record. At the time of the annexation filing, the petitioner's property was approximately 0.41 acre and was contiguous to city limits on the south. Because it was contiguous to the city limits and located in East Salem Sewer and Drainage District and suburban East Salem Water District, an annexation application was required to be complete so that the property owners could obtain city services for the partition they were submitting to Marion County. The territory was one parcel when the annexation petition application and an agreement were submitted and deemed complete, and that annexation agreement signed by the petitioners runs with the land, and it binds the subsequent and current property owners to complete the annexation. Staff did notify the current property owners of the annexation hearing. The partition plat for the three parcels was recorded in May 2021. It includes a 15-foot wide utility easement and undeveloped pedestrian and bicycle easement that's located just west of the parcels. The territory legal description includes an area of 0.597 acres now that it includes the eastern half of that easement and about 1/5 of an acre of right-of-way on Munkers Street Southeast. The subject properties are designated single-family residential in the comprehensive plan. Adjacent properties are either single-family residential or commercial. The subject property and adjacent properties in Marion County are zoned Marion County single-family residential. Nearby properties in the city are zoned CR, which is commercial retail, CO, commercial office, and the territory will automatically be zoned city single-family residential upon the annexation. The nearby properties are developed mostly with single-family dwellings. There is a residential care facility on Rickey Street Southeast. Houck Middle School is nearby, and of course the shopping center at Rickey and Lancaster. The existing single-family dwelling remains on the parcel that has frontage on Munkers Street Southeast, and the other 2 parcels are available for future development. Staff found that the proposed annexation met the annexation criteria, including whether it's consistent with comprehensive plan and statewide planning goals, allows orderly, efficient, and timely provision of urban services, and serves the public interest. Among the comments that we received, Public Works indicated adequate facilities are available. Parks noted that the property is outside the half-mile service area of the neighborhood parks, and Fire noted that the response time would be 4 minutes, 15 seconds from station at 3611 State Street. Didn't mean to do that. Finance indicated the total tax rate would increase by about 29% from what the rate is in the county. Salem-Keizer School District estimated only 1 student would be added to schools, and they would be within the walk zone to Four Corners and Houck and eligible for transportation to North Salem. Marion County submitted an agreement that was signed by the original petitioners, and that would bind the future residents and owners of those properties to pay a share of costs at the time that future public improvements are made on Munkers Street Southeast. And that was a condition of approval for the partition in Marion County. The Southeast Mill Creek Association submitted no comments, and we also received no comments from citizens. And again, this is exempt from voter approval because the petition was submitted by all owners of the territory, and council retains the authority on whether to annex the territory. And staff recommends that council adopt the order determining that the proposal meets the criteria, applying city zoning, and approving withdrawal from Marion County Fire District Number 1, East Salem Sewer and Drainage District, and the suburban East Salem Water District. That includes my formal presentation, and of course I'm available to answer questions.
Great, thank you very much. I have no members of the public signed up, so if you have any questions for Ms. Cole, anyone? Okay. Just make sure I haven't got everybody on my screen yet. Okay, I'm going to close public hearing. Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the staff recommendation to adopt order number 2022-10, determining that the proposal meets the applicable criteria, applying the city zoning, and approving withdrawal of the territory from Marion County Fire District, East Salem Sewer and Drainage District, and suburban East Salem Water District.
Second.
Second by Hoy. You want to say anything more on it, Tom?
No, I've already said too much.
Oh, you've done a lovely job. Who else have we got out there? Anyone else want to comment on this? Okay. Amy, would you call the roll?
Councilor Barney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leon is absent. Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We'll go to open public hearing on 22-208. Item 4B on your agenda.
The Salem City Council will now conduct a public hearing for the purpose of considering adoption of Ordinance Bill number 822 relating to proposed amendments to SRC Chapters 15 and 900 to create an approval process for street paintings and to exempt certain temporary banners and city authorized signs in the public right-of-way. The criteria applicable to the proposed amendments is SRC 110.065B. Testimony must be directed toward the identified criteria or other criteria the person believes to apply to the decision. The hearing will be conducted with staff presentation, followed by interested persons, and one person is signed up. Persons testifying have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Good evening. Can everyone see the screen and hear me okay?
Yeah, you're fine.
Great. Okay. My name is Heather Dimke. I'm a management analyst with Public Works. I would like to enter into the record the staff report, all attachments, and the presentation itself. Ordinance Bill number 8.2-22 includes proposed revisions to both Salem Revised Code Chapter 900 as well as Chapter 15. The revisions to Chapter 900, the sign code, pertain solely to Section 900.015, that of sign exemptions. The First Amendment would add a new subsection B to the exempt signs in the public right-of-way or on government-owned property if their purpose is to identify scenic, historic, cultural, geographic, and educational interest. The underlined text pertaining to the government-owned property was added following the first reading, prompting the need for an engrossed ordinance bill. The images on the right-hand side of this screen are that of a welcome sign that was proposed for Portland Road Northeast by the Northgate Neighborhood Association. This is not the final design, but as I understand, the proposal does not meet the current standards within the sign code. The need to include government-owned property was realized as staff began working through a proposed Vietnam War memorial at the state capitol. The amendments to Chapter 900 would also insert a new subsection E to clarify that temporary banners across Liberty Street and at the Liberty Parkade are approved and regulated through an established permit program, and amend subsection F to include an exemption for public art and street paintings. A couple of examples of those are shown on the right. The proposed amendments to Salem Revised Code Chapter 15, that of public art, include a new definition for street painting and a new section 15.210, clarifying that street painting shall be allowed in Salem for a defined set of criteria and an approval process administered by the director. If these amendments to code are approved, these criteria will be brought before council as an administrative rule. And for this slide, I'm excited to share this brilliant design from the Grant Neighborhood Association for a street painting that is proposed for the intersection of Belmont and Cottage Street here in town. It's just one beautiful example of the many types of projects that we could see if the proposed revisions move forward. The proposed amendments tonight included in the engrossed ordinance bill 8.22 have been prompted through community interest. These revisions would provide a new avenue to identify relevant and engaging points of interest in our community. They would authorize and encourage the inclusion of art and placemaking across Salem, and they would help to foster creativity and pride in Salem neighborhoods. And that concludes my presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I've got one member of the public, Susan Napak. Susan, are you here?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Susan Napak. I am the Grant Neighborhood Association Communications and Outreach Chair. I'm also excited to be the newest member of the Salem Public Art Commission. I'm an artist and a big fan of public art and the art community here in Salem. In fact, it contributed to my decision to move here about 5 years ago. So I was thrilled when my neighbor, Laura Herman, came to the Neighborhood Association with an idea to paint a mural on the street at the intersection of Belmont and Cottage. Championed by Councilor Stapleton and your vote in January to move forward with the development of the street painting program, a group of us have been planning the project. Our team includes an experienced mural painter, Erica Baker, who painted a wonderful mural at Broadway Coffee, as well as a Grant Community School 5th grader. And the project has really taken off and has enthusiastic community support. We presented 4 designs to neighbors through the Neighborhood Association newsletter, social media, and meetings. And then we solicited feedback on the designs in person and via an online voting form. Some of our younger residents even visited their friends and neighbors, showing the designs door to door. We received about 65 responses. The selected design, which you've seen, is called Cherry Blossoms, designed by Erica. And it celebrates the beauty of the trees at the Capitol Mall and Salem's Cherry City history. Neighbors are getting really excited about the project and have already begun to sign up to volunteer for the event, which we are hoping to take place over the July 4th holiday weekend. A big thank you to the folks at Public Works for including us in this process. And that's led to this proposed code revision that you are all needing to cast your ballot, your vote on. And when it's passed, it'll open the door for us and for all Salem residents to be able to paint beautiful street murals in their neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer that all art inspires, and this particular form of community art also brings people together and enhances our quality of life. So we urge you to approve the code revisions, and we invite you all to come celebrate this community activity over July 4th and maybe even pick up a paint roller or a paintbrush yourselves. Thank you.
Great, Susan. Thank you very much. You guys have done just an outstanding job on this. It's really exciting. I'm sure we'll have a wonderful day on the 4th. Any questions? Okay. Well, thank you. Again, thank you very much. Okay. Anyone have any questions for staff? Okay.
I had a
Oh, sorry. Nikki?
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just kind of curious in terms of guidances. Are there any particular restrictions like street size, sidewalks, anything? That just wasn't clear to me.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. We do have some draft language in place for the new admin rules should this move forward. And really we look to the city of Portland to kind of look at their program to see, to kind of help inform what we do here. Street paintings can be applied to any public or private street if there's approval by the HOA. But what we're looking at are local streets, cul-de-sacs, alleyways, the smaller low traffic streets. And that mirrors what's being done in Portland as well. There is also a requirement that adjacent property owners, I believe it's 60% of adjacent property owners do need to be in approval and not opposed to the design. And then in terms of the design itself, there really is no language is allowed, no recognizable symbols, no copyrighted materials. So we're looking at, general kind of just abstract shapes and forms and colors to be approved through this program.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I'm going to close did you have anything, Mr. Fernandez? Nope. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. And Councilor Stapleton.
I think you should go to me on this one, Mr. Mayor, because the staff recommendation isn't accurate.
Oh, okay.
I apologize, Councilor Stapleton. I didn't mean to speak. Well, just to be really clear, this is 100% her deal. So please think of this as her voice. I move City Council engross ordinance bill number 8-22, amending SRC chapter 15 and chapter 900, and advance the second reading for enactment.
Second.
Was that you, Stapleton? Oh, it was Vanessa. Okay. So what'd you change, Chris, just so we all know?
I just took out the public hearing part because we just did that.
Yeah, okay.
So everything's exactly the same. We don't need to hold a public hearing. We just did it and we're ready to go to second reading. I've conferred with the city attorney and that was his recommendation.
Good, okay. Everybody's, you're okay, Stapleton? Is this your?
I'm super happy. I just texted Chris and I said, I'm all weepy when I was listening to this. It was hilarious. But I'm very, very excited and thank you.
Congratulations for the work you did on this.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, Councilor Hoyt.
Thank you. I just want to thank Councilor Stapleton and also the Neighborhood Association for really just putting together a really thoughtful program and putting the work in, not just saying, hey, we'd like this, but actually putting the work in to create a program, and the staff that did so much time on this and put in so much great energy. I think it's a wonderful program and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can all look forward to seeing it in each of our neighborhoods. I think it's just really going to be a great addition. This kind of public art is just so exciting to see. I want to second your comments along with the Neighborhood Association, which is just an outstanding neighborhood association. Every time they get involved, you get excited because it's a good idea usually. And the work of Councilor Stapleton with us, but I also want to thank our staff as well. This is one of those, it's a change, and I congratulate the Public Works staff. Heather, your work on this, it's just really, it's neat to see this, the kind of change that should happen rather than sometimes stuff just gets rammed down people's throats. This one really had the kind of process you hope will happen. Okay, anyone else? Okay, could the recorder please call the roll?
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordijk.
Aye.
Councilor Barney.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Motion passes. Great. Okay, let's move forward then to special orders of business. 5A. Who is staff? Let me just look at this. Who's the staff person on this? Who's doing the work? Vanessa?
Yes,
Mr.
Mr. Mayor, we're about to talk about 5.A, which is a community improvement bond. And I do need to make a quick statement in regards to that. 1 second. I'm declaring an actual conflict of interest under ORS 244.120 regarding the community improvement bond due to a member of my family owning land on State Street, which abuts the State Street project that has been included by the infrastructure subcommittee for recommendation in the proposed bond. So for that reason, I'll be taking no part in the discussion or the deliberation. So I'm going to leave the meeting for now, but I'll have a member of staff text me when it's time to rejoin the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll see you when we're done. Okay. Who is...
Mayor, I can get this started.
Okay, let me... yeah, why don't you just introduce this so we kind of know what's going on here, and then I'll call on Councilor Hoy to make the motion. Is that okay? Yeah.
Absolutely. So following our council work session on projects to include in the bond, we are bringing forward an action item to get direction to move forward on additional polling on those projects and adding to the project list polling on the protected bike lanes to seek additional information about that. And then council would also have an opportunity this evening to make some modifications to the project list if you choose. So that's where we are this evening. The primary action item would be to get direction on moving forward with additional polling.
Okay. Very good. Councilor Hoyt, you want to make the motion, get this going?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move City Council direct staff to solicit additional public opinion research on the proposed community improvement bond package for November 2022 ballot, including opinion on protected bike lanes, and consider modifications to the proposed project list recommended for community improvement bond funding.
Okay.
Second.
Who seconded?
Leon.
Leon. Okay, thanks. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any discussion. I'm ready to move forward, but I have a feeling some of my colleagues might. So I'm just going to stand down for a minute and let them go.
Okay. Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first discussion relates to a question about the term protected bike lanes, and I'm referring specifically to the city manager's discussion of protected as opposed to buffered. And then I'm referring to the email council all received from Gary Obery, who you should be familiar with from his testimony on various traffic issues, including a turn lane on Broadway that we had several months ago. So my question for the city manager is, we are now talking about protected as opposed to buffered, because I was prepared to make a motion to substitute the word protected for when we talk about buffered. And as I hope we all know, buffered is just some paint on the street. Protected is something more that actually physically separates. And that's been a discussion we've had a lot on McGilchrist. So am I correct in thinking, Kristen, that we are in fact now talking, we're talking about protected bike lanes, not buffered bike lanes for the bond measure?
So I would like to call on Courtney Knox-Bush, because she has been in communication in the last couple of days with the polling firm to see which language they're including.
I think, hi, this is Courtney Knox-Bush. I'm answering the question about the poll. The language in the poll, I think right now, is protected in the draft version. Buffered is a little more complicated to convey in a single word. Protected tends to work better so far in their polling data, but we can certainly revise the language if you want to stay true to the term buffer.
I don't know, when you say protected, what it means to me is separated from the street. Buffered means not separated from the street. So I also agree with you that the term protected sounds a lot more definitive than buffered. So I'm happy, Ms. Knox-Bush, if in fact the polling says protected bike lanes, not buffered bike lanes. And it sounds like that's what's going to happen.
I'll check for sure while we're speaking, but it may refer to separated. The wording right now is challenging to convey in the time that we have in the poll, but our message about what we mean, should it be included in the bond, we can craft at a latter point.
But that's my concern. And I'm also pretty familiar, and I don't know if Mr. Fernandez or Mr. Atchison can talk about this, but in bond measures, you want the broadest definition possible, so there can be a little room for maneuvering within that definition. And I would guess that protected is the broader of the of the three. It's the broadest between separated and buffered, among separated, buffered, and protected. So I would urge that the language protected be used and not buffered.
Peter, can you help us out here what this means?
Well, I agree. It's Peter Fernandez, Public Works Director. Mayor, I agree with what Mr. Obery said in his email. Buffered, and what Councilor Anderson is saying, buffered means stripes and protected means either some kind of physical barrier or separated from the street.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Director Fernandez. That is consistent with our conversations over the years about this issue, and I appreciate that language and what you said.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Stapleton.
Thank you so much. Yeah, even from this conversation that we're having right now, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how we come about with the good question to ask in the survey. There's so much, in this conversation. It will be really interesting, I think, for me, and I would love to see what we have going forward before it goes to polling, because those questions, how they're asked, are going to be so important in the type of information that we get back from our residents on this issue. I do have some amendments to this, but I don't know when to make those. If right now is a good time. I see Councilor Leung has her hand up. I don't want to derail the conversation too early.
Give me just a couple of minutes, and then I'll call on you to make the additional amendments. Okay, Councilor Leung.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I had more of a question about the the polling that was going to be designed. Will the polling include both definitions of the difference between a buffer and a protected zone? And would it also include images or examples of what it could look like for people?
So I'm sorry to report, Councilor Leung, that the poll itself is a poll that's taken by phone. And so we would not be able to present an image. There's a difference between polling and between messaging. So what we're doing with the poll is to gauge how people are feeling about the proposal of the bond, because we've gotten further along in our definition of what projects might be included, and we've gotten further along in feeling confident about how the funds would be divided among the types of projects. So 157 million for streets and sidewalks, for example. That feels more certain than it did several months ago. And so that's what we're gauging, is how people feel about the composition of the bond and some of the marquee projects that would be completed in different wards if the bond is approved. The last bit that we've added at the last minute is based on the feedback from council and during the work session last week. And the last bit has to do with whether or how people would perceive a dedicated fund for dedicated bike lanes. So the language that we've rested with was dedicated bike lanes. Now, the question about whether it's separated from traffic or not separated from traffic is something that I think we need clarity from the council on what that we're trying to gauge. But if it's a portion of the bond dedicated to bike lanes that might be separated from traffic or not separated from traffic, that part I think we need clarification on before we can close and get the poll out, which we are trying to do as early as tomorrow.
Thank you.
I had a question on a part of this as well. The following clause essentially is consider modifications to the proposed project list. How will that be presented? I mean, is it going to be, we're going to dedicate X million for protected bike lanes, and that means we will be removing piece? What does that mean? I'm not quite sure I understand it.
Thank you for the question. So as of this moment, we are anticipating the broader value of 157 million to be available for streets and sidewalk projects. And so that would include sidewalks, bike lanes, all the different sort of larger projects we've been discussing to this point. And we are not, so far, the council's not debating removing any of those larger projects that we've been discussing as part of the bond. So that's not anticipated to change, but certainly if it changes this evening, we can make adjustments to the survey. But that's the plan right now.
Okay. So it's going to be very broad topics.
Yes.
And the detail, how will the public ever learn of the detail of this?
Well, as right now, sitting here, we do have a series of details about the individual projects that are included in the bond on our website. And so as soon as we go forward here. Every step that we take to defining the bond package in its entirety gets us closer and closer to communicating the detail with the community. So we're doing as much as we have. Every time we get more, that's how we're doing it right now.
But there will come a time when you will tell the public the detail of the bond measure.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. That's all I'm asking, I think. Okay, who else? Oh, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just kind of a follow-up this, and Councilor Stapleton may be making some motions in this regard, but I have a couple questions. For example, there's been a discussion about the various bridges on Mission Street and on 17th Street. We had a large discussion about that. And it sounds to me, Ms. Knox-Bush, and maybe the city attorney could talk about this too, we don't need to say we're going to keep the Mission Street Bridge. We're not going to do the 17th Street Bridge. All we need to do is say right now, $157 million for streets. And then when the bond becomes, when we really get down to what we are describing, at that point, we might say, we want the Mission Street Bridge to be included in this, and not even mention the other streets if the council direction to the staff is not to mention those streets. Is that a correct assumption?
Right now, the dollar value of those projects is not so great as to make the limited time that we have available to do the poll.
Okay.
Remember, you're trying to get as much information as you can in as tight a timeline as you can so that you have participation that you need. So it's a very tricky science, and we rely on the experts to help us.
Yes, and I would too, because man, by the time we start asking about these details, it's going to go way off the rails. I just have one further issue along with that, and that is the State Street project and the right turn lanes on 14th and 17th Street. Again, we're not going to get down to the polling in that, but I will tell you, as a counselor and who's worked hard on the State Street project, where it's a street diet, I would not be in favor of right-hand turn lanes along the same lines as our discussion several months ago on Broadway. So, but that's not, at this point, that is not, is going to go to the polling. We're just going to say, we're going to do all these projects, including street, bridge repair, right turn lanes, that kind of stuff, which we may be doing other places. Is that a correct assumption again?
That's true. We are not polling at that level of detail.
Okay. And I guess finally, we're not polling at that level of detail, but at some point the council, when we get to crafting the final bond measure, we will be someplace between the poll and a real level of, real low down project by project level of detail.
That's correct. And right now, the date that we're working with, I believe, is July 18th. Or as late as the 25th, but that's the date that we're working with. So we are just shy of 2 months away from needing to be really firm on that level of detail for a bunch of reasons.
That's perfect. So after the polling, you'll come back to the council and we will look at the polling and use that to formulate our final proposal for the bond. Thanks.
Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Knox-Bush. And I would just like to maybe summarize so I make sure that my understanding is consistent with yours and also so that the public's is. As I understand this, we're giving you some broad direction tonight on what to go poll about. And then we're going to have more opportunities after this evening to actually amend the proposed list and to get into whatever detail, let's say, cut this bridge improvement, but add this whatever, and those kinds of things. Those don't necessarily have to happen tonight. We'll have more opportunities to do that very specific detail in the future. Say once we hear about the polling and are informed as to how those things might be viewed by the public. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. However, I do want to stress that we are messaging today what we have or what we believe to be the case about the bond. So we're messaging now that there's $157 million for streets and sidewalk projects. Should those things change, it is challenging to have people be confident about what they're buying with the bond, because we may be people may be receiving the information, have already decided how they're going to weigh in on the bond, and then we're changing it. So just be mindful that the higher level or larger project changes that we may be featuring in the bond, if we took Marine Drive out, for example, that would be really impacting people's knowledge and awareness about the bond after the poll. So it might jeopardize change.
If I understand you correctly, what I'm hearing you saying is, if we're going to add and subtract, we should do so within categories. Like don't subtract a street and add a park. We should subtract from parks to add to the parks, that kind of thing. Is that what you're saying? So we can maintain that sort of messaging integrity. Is that what you're saying?
That would be my preference, but I don't make those decisions. So, we are running tight on time, and so we may not have a chance to correct someone's impression of the bond at this point. We will do a lot more messaging, but at some point, someone may decide that they're not interested, they know what it's about, and they're going to move on. So that's just the challenge and the tension.
I'm familiar with that process, so thank you. I appreciate the detail.
Okay, I'm kind of thinking about what you're asking, Councilor, and so what are you essentially kind of what you're looking at is do the detail work after we get this thing out for a poll is pretty much what we're talking about, is move forward with the details of this, because everybody's got their favorite project or unfavorite project. Don't slow down yet with that and create confusion. Is that?
Well, that's my thought, because
that's what I want to understand.
Yeah, frankly, I want to know what the public thinks. I want this thing to pass, right? So I want popular projects, plus I want some of the important projects that we just need to do, even though they're not sexy. But so I want to hear from the public, like what might they be likely to vote for, and then I'm going to go back and say, okay, I think we need to craft our list a little differently.
Yeah. I mean, we're really, if we see categorical challenges, we got to really think fast on how we're going to move forward. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you doing that. Jose, what's up?
Thank you, Mayor. Courtney, and I think we'll eventually get this answer, but these people that are being polled, are they going to be polled for the first time, or people that have been polled before? And the reason I ask is basically what we're talking about here is people already arguing about what kind of projects to start slicing and dicing. And, we're early in the process. And the last thing we need right now is any kind of division. Bicyclists against ADA, talking about some of our age population. We have, in my neighborhood, there's tons of sidewalks. We can't even walk safely. So there's already divisions, showing up. So do you know if it's newer people going to be asked or people that had been asked before? Because that could throw off the results.
So thank you for the question. The polling firm tries to mirror the electorate. And so we cannot guarantee that we're reaching the same person from the first poll, but certainly we are getting a representative sample of the voters in our community. And so they will hold the poll open as long as it takes to get the representative sample. In previous polls, 1 year, for I don't know why, it took almost 2 weeks to get a representative sample. This last time it was very quick. It was within 2 or 3 days. So we'll just have to see how long it takes. But the goal is a representative sample of the voting populace.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, Councilor Stapleton.
Thank you. I appreciate all of this conversation. And I know from our work session on Monday, today we are going to put our best foot forward, right? These were the plans that we were hoping to go for with little changes after that, tweaks if need be, right? And so I have put together a substitute motion that really gets at some of the different projects. I know I was sent away on Monday night saying, with the charge of, if you want to find some money for protected bike lanes, then we need to cut projects. And so I did that work over the week and talked with staff and called fellow counselors and talked about what was important to each of those folks. And really worked with what we had to find a good middle ground. And so I would like to make that substitute motion now and move forward in knowing that with that poll coming, we're gonna, I believe, get confirmation because of all of the outpouring of support that we've already gotten so far for this. So I would like to send this forward, like Councilor Jorge has said, for polling, but with the following changes: removing the Liberty Street Northeast Bridge over Mill Creek, the 17th Street Bridge over Mill Creek, the 15th Street Bridge over Mill Creek, the Liberty Street Bridge railing over Pringle Creek, and the Church Street Southeast Bridge railing over Pringle Creek, and the renovations to the Peace Plaza. I would also like the following projects to move forward with reductions in the scope of work. The State Street project from 13th Street to 17th Street with the removal of the northbound and southbound turn lanes, and the Pringle Road Southeast McGillcrest to Southeast, McGillcrest Street Southeast to Georgia Street Southeast without the middle turn lane. And with these funds, I would like to fund $10 million to put towards alternative transportation safety corridors, with the remaining funds going towards the Davis Street South Skyline Road South to Liberty Street South project. That's a mouthful. I apologize.
What is an alternative safety? What is that? You're calling it, you've come up with a name, but what is it?
Yeah, so these are anything from a multi-use path to a protected bike lane. Really what they're used for is to have a vertical divide between vehicular traffic and folks who are using alternative transportation modes. So whether that's somebody who's in a motorized wheelchair or somebody who's riding a bike or riding a scooter, all of those different forms of transportation that are not vehicular. So I was hoping that my motion that I forwarded to Dan would have gone to council. It had some great visuals of what that looks like, whether it's divided by bollards or, plastic, I forget what they're called.
Mayor Bennett.
Dividers.
Yeah, have I gotten it?
Mayor Bennett, if I can just interrupt for a moment, we need a second on the motion.
I'm sorry.
I second it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Dan, have we all received a copy of this? I don't remember getting it. It doesn't mean I didn't get it.
No, I didn't send that on. I thought that was Councilor Stapleton was going to do that.
That's usually the way it's done.
Would you like me to share my screen? I'm sorry to interrupt. I can show the slide if you'd like.
That would be
that'd be fine. I'm not sure what it's of. Does it illustrate everything that you've said?
Yes, for the most part. Well, it depends on what she's going to pull up here.
Okay.
One moment, please.
I think Councilor Leung really hit this, nail on the head, because it is so hard to talk about without the visual, right? And as soon as you see a visual, it's automatic in what you're thinking. So a couple slides down.
Advance the slides,
please. So here you can see that safety corridors are produced by either having planters, some kind of vertical divide between the car and the folks who are riding different modes of transportation. In the middle, you see the multi-use path, which we have several of those around the city of Salem. And of course, those are also in our transportation plan for the city. There on the opposite side, you see the painted buffer line, and then you have the flex posts with parking that is also part of the safety measures. And then if you go one more slide, we have two more options here. We have just a simple concrete curb that's put down, that's an option, as well as these bollards here, which give a little bit of a more vertical.
Okay, I see what you're describing now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Yeah, Tom.
Thank you. I second the motion, and I'm generally in favor of it. The only question I have is this the right time to do this now, or do we wait after polling? That's my question really for both Ms. Knox-Bush and maybe the city attorney, because that's all my question is I'm in favor of each one of these things proposed by Councilor Stevenson. I'm just looking at the process, whether this is the appropriate time or it's the time when we come back after whatever the polling is.
Okay. Councilor Phillips?
Yeah, my question might be more towards Public Works. It's assuming that we're going to talk about this a little bit tonight. It's specifically in Ward 3, we've got the improvement to Pringle Street. And I think that the conversation right now is, instead of having it be 3 lanes with that center lane being an undesignated left-hand turn, so you could left-hand turn from either direction, to, you know, shrinking its footprint. And, you know, what is the impact of that? You know, practically speaking, what's Public Works thought on it? How much money, you know, does that make the project cost, like, more or less? And is there any impact on safety? I know that I still would like carve outs for important left-hand turns, but I just don't know if there's a public work opinion on having an undesignated, you know, which one gets the right of way for turning left versus an actual, like, this is only for this left-hand turn.
Yeah, Councilor Phillips, again, Peter Fernandez, Public Works Director. Councilor Stapleton asked me what my opinion was in an email that I responded to today. I believe you were copied, and we strongly recommended that the left turn lane remain as part of the project. And we suggested that it remain because about half to 2/3 of the land uses out there are commercial, industrial, multifamily that generate significantly more traffic, more left turning movements. We also believe that given that is a prime transit route out there with a lot of buses and a lot of bus stops, that the lane allows for vehicles to get by the buses when they are idling. So, and we also foresee that, although I don't have data in front of me, it's been a while since we did a count out there, but we all know that Sustainable Fairview is developing. All of the land around Sustainable Fairview is developing. Meyer Farm is developing. And there's a lot of land south of Kubler that is developing. And there is not, that part of town is very east-west corridor limited. So Pringle becomes the primary corridor to come into town from those areas. So Pringle will experience significantly more traffic, and an undivided 2-lane facility is not going to do real well in the long term. So that was our recommendation, and that's stated in an email that I believe you were copied on. So you probably haven't had a chance to.
I actually did read the email, and I'm still kind of confused because in my mind, I'm maybe envisioning something that's halfway between the two. You know, like, so when the 3 lanes that exist south of that facility upgrade already seems to be that 3-lane facility that you're discussing. And it's not like designated, this is only a left-hand turn for, you know, northbound going this way or southbound going this way. In a lot of places you could meet, you know, going either direction in opposite directions and try and jump in that middle lane. So I guess my question in terms of safety is there any potential cost savings and safety benefits if we just pick which left-hand lanes to protect and not do them the full length? Or due to the nature of how industrial that is and how residential it is with the streets that don't line up at the intersections, is it just we're stuck doing that undesignated center lane?
Yeah, we really are. That's a great question. I appreciate that. We really are stuck doing it that way because the block lengths are so short. So once you create a left turn lane, then you have to buffer it on the other side. So where do you limit it? And where the driveways are, you limit it. Our preference has always been to be able to do landscape medians and limit access to only certain locations. But when you do that, then you're really forcing people that are turning left to go all the way, you know, to go around. And there just aren't that many connections to be able to go around. So you're really forcing people, you know, perhaps onto 12th Street to then come around, creating more VMT, you know. I'd also like to say that
What's that acronym? I missed the acronym.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vehicle miles of travel. You're creating more. I apologize. You're creating more vehicular movement. I'd also like to say that, with this idea of, we are absolutely supportive of the climate action plan and the goals of the climate action plan. We are strong believers in the climate crisis that we're facing. Doing a 2-lane road or not providing right turn lanes only creates more congestion. So you really have traffic idling more. And so that's why we're not recommending 5-lane roads, we're not recommending freeways, but we are recommending ways in which traffic can get around and doesn't have to idle and wait through several stoplights, for example, like occurs at certain locations without things like right turn lanes. So that's really what we're concerned about, and creating opportunities in places like Pringle. I think there's 4 pedestrian crossings. So you look at the island that we did there at the ESD, at the Education Service District, that they paid the majority of. That's a pretty narrow island. So when we have a continuous left turn lane, a center turn lane, that island's going to be a lot wider and perhaps a lot longer. So it'll create additional safety features for pedestrians. So that's why our recommendation is to proceed with a 3-lane facility at Pringle.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question for Councilor Stapleton and for Mr. Fernandez both, and that is, Councilor Stapleton, I'm not sure how you picked this particular project. I'm curious about that. And are you married to that project being the cut? And if the answer is no, you're not, Mr. Fernandez, do you have another project where she might achieve the savings from that part of the project to fund the other thing that she's trying to do? So does that make sense? Like, I'm not sure what the portion of that 10 million is from this particular piece of it, but if you could let us know what that is. And then Mr. Fernandez, is there someplace else that you would think would be a better candidate to swap out?
Well,
we can go Councilor Stapleton first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you, Councilor Hoy. Yeah, my thinking on this was that, as we looked at all of these really large projects, and I think we have one kind of in each different region of the city, trying to figure out where we could cut was tricky, not just because I'm also not an engineer. So when I looked at this one in particular, and when I talked to folks who lived in the area, and I talked to several of them, and asked them, what was their experience there, and are there different ways of moving forward with this project that would get all of those things right? This is a really intense spot for public transportation. I think they have 4 different pickups there along there. We have all those crosswalks going in, the sidewalks. It's a very high impact area for folks who are walking. So I know that, the pedestrian infrastructure there is critical. The bike infrastructure there is also critical because it connects further up and it connects down to 12th Street. So this was one of the streets that had that middle turn lane that I thought, if we could get rid of 12 feet of right-of-way purchases for the length of the project, could we save some money there and still get what we need to accomplish out of this project, which is pedestrian infrastructure, bike infrastructure, and access for access for public transportation to pick up those folks. Then if we can accomplish that without, with saving some money there, that's why I settled on this one. I looked at the Fisher Road. I don't see how we can skim that down any. McGillcrest was already talked about how it's going to be so many businesses on either side. So the middle turn lane, to me, it felt like that made the most sense there. And of course, we've already trimmed down half of Marine Drive. So this was really, these last 2 projects were the ones that I settled on as far as kind of researching more and more what could be done differently. I know in Portland, they are faced with projects like this, and I've been researching the Coley project, where similar to this type of situation, and how they were making do with the amount of money that they did have by making multi-use paths. So just trying to find different ways, trying to talk with staff about different options to move forward. And I know that they're not excited about this one, or they weren't excited about any of the other ones I suggested. I had to move somewhere, right? And so this is where I landed. I am always open for negotiation and conversation. So I'm never a closed book, and here to always have those conversations.
The concern I've got, Councilor, I want to ask a question as well. If you're open to it, why are we tonight trying to tear this bond apart, move pieces around? We don't have any information in front of us. The information you do, which is very good, was not disseminated. Why would we do it tonight rather than at a meeting where it is actually going to be scheduled for us to go through just the process we're going through now, which, trust me, we will have to do again, because not everybody, when they get a look at this, is going to be happy. So I'm not understanding what the point is here, unless you think this will survive. I don't know what you're thinking here. Frankly, I don't. I really don't.
Thank you. This whole time during this whole process, I was served on the subcommittee with you and with Councilor Hoy and Jose. This whole time I've been trying to get to this conversation about how can we get protected bike infrastructure in the bond so that we can create these connections that will actually allow people to commute through the city on protected bike lanes. And every time that I've kind of come to this conversation, somebody's always there to tell me, like, we'll handle that later. We'll handle that later.
We're not there yet. Maybe that's part of it. I'm just going to suggest that to you. Maybe we're off the mark right now. I understand how badly you want this and how critical it is. I think a lot of us agree with you, but is this the right time at 8 o'clock on a Monday night when you didn't supply us with information? We hadn't seen these amendments. You're doing specific projects. I mean, I'm listening to left turn, right turn, and I don't have this stuff in front of me. I have no idea how this works with the TSP. Those are the kind of things generally, when you discuss this stuff, you want to have in hand. Could you wait and do this in the kind of the order this will occur, where we actually are devoting a meeting to just this kind of action, rather than kind of setting up a polling question? Do you see what I mean?
I do. And I guess I will counter with the fact that I thought I was following protocol by sending my motion.
I don't think you did, but that's my opinion. So I think I really think you're off the mark on this.
Mr. Mayor, could you let her finish her answer, please? I was trying to hear her answer. I couldn't hear her.
Yeah, when I'm done, Councilor Hoy, I will. Go ahead.
Well, no, you interrupted her. You interrupted her. She was talking and you interrupted her.
That's fine. Go ahead, Councilor Stapleton.
Thank you. Sorry, it gets a little jumbled up. So I thought I was following protocol by forwarding my motion to this city attorney, who I was told would send it on to city council. So I did my homework. I talked to folks all week long. I felt like I was on the phone all week. I sent that into the city attorney with the visuals that I also were provided earlier tonight. And I'm here tonight because it was told to me on Monday night that this was the chance where we were going to put our best foot forward. So the best that we got, everything that we wanted to get in this bond, with hopefully only minor tweaks later. And so for me, this is important for me to be in the bond at this point in time. And I don't think it's a surprise for anybody here. I know that I have support from people. I know that this is important to a lot of people. So I guess I've made the motion, and it stands, and I hope to hear a vote soon.
Okay. Well, I apologize for interrupting. I feel like I'm very concerned about the future of this bond, and I think it's being jeopardized. But fine, Councilor Jose Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, great conversation. So we're here to do. We're voted to talk and debate. I did talk to Virginia, but it was just today. So I didn't really get much info until today. And I think we have to submit those X amount of days before so everybody can get it. So I think that was maybe one of the issues, maybe not on time, but it wasn't, difficult to forget information to digest quickly, The only concern I have is, at this point, like I said, we're sort of risking, these arguments we're having. We're already having them. We're actually having them right now, and I sort of feel like we're starting to micromanage the staff, and even just in Peter's comments just a little bit ago, some of that he was saying new things I had never heard of. Just like you said, you're not engineer, Virginia, neither. I mean, this is not my specialty, and obviously we're here to share our opinions and concerns. But as he's talking, he's envisioning these long-term impacts, which I agree with you. We have to look at that too. But these are basic, these traffic situations, and this one I'm really going to trust the staff because, he and they know, what these little things mean long term, and it's life and death too in these situations.
Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One comment for Public Works, and that is we were talking about, actually two comments, but we were talking about Pringle and how many lanes we're going to have. And I'm thinking of a street that is just several blocks east of that, and that is 12th Street. And 12th Street goes up the hill. And 12th Street has islands in the middle, 2 lanes, and I'm wondering if that sort of thing could be a model for Pringle. That's number one. And I understand at one point 12th Street, way in the distant past that I know nothing about, you might, Mr. Mayor, but it was going to be a wider street with 4 lanes going up, and the council, if I recall correctly, narrowed it down to what it is, and I think that street works pretty well. So that's one thing. The other is, at some point, I can't remember if Councilor Stapleton's motion said this or not, but the 2 right turn lanes on State Street that I discussed earlier. And finally, I'm really interested in both from Ms. Knox-Bush and City Attorney Atchison, and maybe from Interim City Manager, whose hand is raised here, what the process is for this. I mean, I think I agree with Councilor Hoy that this is a motion that might better be made after we come back with the polling, because I get from Courtney Knox-Bush that the polling is not going to dive down into all these details. It's just going to be broader. We're going to do $157 million, including bridge projects, and we're not going to say including this bridge project, but not including that bridge project. That's something that we can determine even after the bond. So I'm curious, is this the right time to make this motion, which I fully support, as I've already said.
Councilor Anderson, your question is exactly the reason why I raised my hand, and to add some clarity around the timing and the need. The key piece that we need to get clarity on right now is, the approval to move forward with the polling. And this is an iterative process, and an iterative process has been going on for many months, where we examine projects, we get information, we discuss it, we filter it down and filter it down and filter it down, and keep going through this process to the point now where we've got agreement probably on 90% of what the bond would look like. And now it's time to take that out to the community and test the waters with the community and find out what they are prioritizing. And then that information, I think, will be very informative to get to the level that we're talking about tonight, and to get that feedback on what the community does think about protected bike lanes. Is it a small part of the community? Is it a large part of the community? And that, along with the other key components of the bond. And then when we have that information from the community back from this polling, there's another opportunity to sift through that and filter down and get to these more specific components. And then Courtney, I see that you've taken your mic off too, if you want to add to that.
Thank you, Kristen. I would just add that the motion about the poll includes testing whether this idea of dedicated bike lanes is a message that sways people into approving or being more likely to support the bond. So we have that part, I think, covered in the current poll. including them in the bond right this minute isn't required to continue that line of questioning in the poll. So that's the only thing I would add.
Anybody else? Councilor Varney?
Oh boy, thank you. Yeah, it's my understanding that tonight we're trying to figure out exactly kind of what to put into the poll. Back with the previous poll, one of the major priorities that stood out were all areas of public safety, whether it be the fire safety, earthquake safety, the sidewalk safety, crosswalk safety. And I believe that the bike and pedestrian safety is an important part of that. But if there's a way we can kind of package that together and include it in the questions for the poll, that's the direction I feel that we need to go. Tonight, I can't really see us moving a lot of stuff around, because in the poll, we're going to need some sort of specificity and those kind of buckets to ask those questions. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Thank you. Councilor Hoy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was hoping to give Mr. Fernandez an opportunity to answer my earlier question that he didn't get the chance to answer just yet.
Thank you, Councilor Hoy. I figured it'd come back around. We don't really, we provided, when the committee asked us for what we recommended for projects, we provided the committee with a list. But it really is up to the council. I mean, when it comes to transportation, the transportation system in Salem, there's a continuous $300 million need that sits out there. Sidewalks, widenings, you name it, asphalt repair, bridge repair. So I don't really have a recommendation for you. What I do have that I feel very strongly is once we do a project, once it gets on the list, it needs to be done right. Because once we do it, we're never going to, certainly in our lifetimes, we're never going to come back to it. So that's why you see that we propose asphalt repair as a part of it. Obviously, the ADA, the federal ADA regs require that we upgrade the ramps. So we're going to do that. We want sidewalks put in. We always put street trees in. So we just want it done right. I will tell you that on this Pringle, for example, it is not on our, we are guided when we do a project, the Councilor Gonzalez talked about, and it's not our opinion. We're guided by the Transportation System Plan and by other policies that have been reviewed and adopted by the City Council. So the cross section that you see on Pringle, for example, but you see at other streets is really that. So we're not making this guided by policies. However, if there is a strong desire, the council to say, for example, on Pringle, hey, make that a buffered bike lane, add 2 feet, for example, to make that, we can add 2 feet and not do street trees, for example. We can just buy 4 more feet of right-of-way. There's a lot of things that can be done to tweak designs as they come forward for development that we could do, on something like Pringle, on something like Fisher Road, to address council's desires. The bike lanes are already there. If we want, a couple of feet, I'm hard pressed to recommend 5, 10, 15 more feet because that creates significant issues, but a couple of feet can certainly be worked out. Councilor Anderson talked about, hey, should Pringle look like 12th Street? Pringle is absolutely going to look like 12th Street. We're going to want to put in, as many medians, certainly at the crossing points. But if we're going to block people's access, their driveways, if we're going to force right in, right out, then council's going to have to give us direction to say, yes, we want to limit, which we absolutely can do. We want to limit left turn access to these locations or that locations, but we'll follow whatever the council asks us to do. Our only recommendation is that it be done right. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it right.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. I guess my preference is to do wholesale cuts of projects rather than City Council try to play armchair engineer. and say, well, if we take out this part of a turn lane and, because I don't think that's our expertise. And that's why I'd prefer to say, well, let's not do this and let's do this instead, to try to, because, if I tried to design a road, I can't even imagine what it would look like. So that's what I just think it's better to maybe just pick a project that we want to cut and add this other bucket if that's the council's desire. That's just my thought.
Councilor Hoy, could you take this for a few minutes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Leon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to follow up and understand the poll as well as what we're doing tonight, because my understanding from the last city council meeting was that today we're deciding on the exact things we're going to be voting for on the bond. At least that's how it was, to me, it was presented at the last city council meeting. So today's council meeting, it's a work session. So this council meeting specifically is agreeing upon like what we're going to put on the poll, but then we have another meeting in June that's going to confirm exactly what we want based on the poll and feedback that we get from the staff and or from working, connecting with people in the community.
Thank you, Councilor Leon, for the question. It's important that we all really have a perfect understanding of what we're doing here. And I think that my understanding, and staff, Ms. Rutherford maybe can correct me if I'm wrong, but right now we are giving staff direction on what to pull. We also, with the substitute motion, are considering the opportunity to adjust the list. Now that's sort of separate from the direction that we're giving to staff to go pull. We're going to have tonight and as many meetings as I think we want between now and July 18th to adjust the actual project list. I think we'll have as many opportunities as council wants to actually adjust that project list. If we do it tonight, it'll be based on the information we have tonight. If we do it later, it will be informed by whatever we learn from that poll. So I think that's the situation. So right now we're giving staff direction, go poll on this. And we're also considering some project adjustments for that list. That doesn't mean we're going to poll on them necessarily, because we're going to pull on the big buckets, it sounds like. So as I understand it, we're going to give staff direction, go poll, and then we're going to have more opportunities for specific project adjustments. Did I get that right, Ms. Rutherford?
Yes, I concur with that. The only modification is that in polling that we would also be adding the question about the dedicated bike lanes.
Yes, thank you. Does that help, Councilor Leon?
It does. One follow-up question as well, relating to what, as part of the polls, because part of the bond proposal included covering certain streets. So is that also part of the poll, like listing the streets that will be covered under the bond and asking people, respondents, for whether they agree with those specific areas, or are there opportunities for them to list other areas that they feel is a need?
I don't believe so, but I'm going to defer to Ms. Knox-Bush for a better answer.
Thank you. The poll is less open-ended than it is asking a question and getting a response. So it's more about gauging perceptions on need and whether which portions of the project would cause someone to feel compelled to vote in favor of the bond.
Thank you.
And the reference to specific projects is really just to illustrate the types of things that could be achieved.
Councilor Stapleton.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am contemplating tabling my amendment to your motion until our next meeting, mainly because my motion did not go out to council as I had intended or thought that it was. There's nothing worse than having a motion thrown at you that you haven't had time to contemplate, especially on something this important and this big. I do want to say, I have lots to say. I'm just not sure if I want to say any of them. Maybe I would be best if I held my tongue. So I will hold my tongue and I will say that I would like to table my motion until a future meeting.
Your motion doesn't have a second yet, Counselor, so you don't have to table, or does it?
It does.
I think it did.
Did you do it, Tom? Okay. Are you okay with that too?
I am fine. I'm fine. It's Councilor Stapleton's motion, and if she wants it to table, I'm with her.
Okay. Very good. Then we'll go ahead. There's no debate on a tabling motion. So if Amy, if you'd call the roll.
I saw Councilor Varney's hand was up for a moment. I don't know.
Okay. It's on these, Councilor Leung, tabling kind of runs beyond that. You don't get to comment on it. You just vote on it when the person brings it up. So that's what we're going to do. Okay.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordijk is absent. Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. That motion's tabled. Councilor Varney, did you want to?
Thank you. My question was, in terms of the survey, how will the question be asked? I mean, if this survey is going out potentially tomorrow, what will the question look like that is going to be asked regarding the bike lanes or the protected ones?
Well, it just essentially it says that we may be making a change, considering we may be making a change to the measure, and we're asking people whether providing between 10 or 15 million for dedicated bike lanes that would be separated from traffic would cause them to lean yes, lean no. They doesn't impact their choice, that kind of thing. That's what the question is.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Hoy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm not sure that your language was precise there, Ms. Knox-Bush, but I just want to suggest that maybe using the word change isn't appropriate since we don't actually have a bond yet, but maybe just say include. We're considering including, and because change kind of has a different connotation and might actually evoke a different response that we might intend.
I'm a little anxious about reading the precise language. I don't know if that would influence people that are in the potential pool of the poll. So I apologize if I'm not being as precise as you might prefer. The language is recommended from the pollster based on what we think we want to try to achieve, which is just gauge if adding it in or if changing the bond package as it's currently illustrated would have an impact on people's perceptions of the bond.
Thank you. I just, my only goal is that we not do a push poll, like we not try to drive them to one answer or the other, that we just get a straight up opinion. And so I trust that the pollster will give us language that gets us there. It just raised a hackle when you said change. Okay.
I'm not being precise. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you.
It's not a push poll.
Got it. Thank you.
Councilor Phillips.
Yeah, so we're back to the original motion.
Yes.
Okay, so broadly speaking, I'm very favorable with moving forward with this. And I mean, I think I'm encouraged to hear that we're going to include language to ask people's thoughts on protected bike lanes so that we can get some more feedback on that moving forward. I would share with staff and my fellow counselors that I too was confused last Monday after the work session. I kind of thought that there was some expectation that people would come tonight with specificity and swap outs. So I think it's very reasonable that the prior tabled motion was tabled, but I do think that there's some community interest in making some smaller improvements along the way. But I'm encouraged to hear, I just want to verify that we're going to have a future opportunity based on not just the polling, but from continued citizen feedback to make improvements along the way. I think that the number I heard our interim manager say is we really don't want to change more than 10%. I probably want to change less than 10%. And if there's any swap outs, I'm going to need to hear, maybe more than just a 5-minute conversation or email from Public Works and the technical experts. to be comfortable with any, alterations to projects moving forward. But on the question before us and the motion before us, I'm overwhelmingly in support of this. We need this. This has to pass.
Yeah. Well, we'll have, I think, ample opportunity to change this as we move forward, both in the committee and on the council as this sort of gets negotiated its way through. Councilor Stapleton.
I just had a quick question for staff. I was hoping that you could let me know and the council know how many folks wrote in support of the protected bike lanes, the folks that we've already heard from that want this, and compare and contrast that with the folks who sent in support of branch libraries or whatever it else is that we included in the bond already. And I think that it's great to get more feedback always, but I also want to highlight the fact that we have heard from a lot of people already in this process who are really excited and really anxious to see us include this in the bond as it is. So I'd be interested to see that information in some kind of packet at our next meeting.
Okay, anyone else? Okay.
Mayor Bennett, just a quick follow-up. I really appreciate Councilor Stapleton's suggestion. I mean, I've watched a few of the school board sessions in the last year or two, and staff sometimes does a summary of the testimony they get. And if we're getting a lot of comments, like I think, in the last month and a half, we've probably gotten, 50 to 100 testimonies. If there could just be like a brief summary, if that's within staff's bandwidth, I would appreciate that too.
Okay. Kristen, what?
Yes, I'd just like to clarify here. Are you seeking that feedback only on the bike lanes or on other items as well, such as the libraries?
Sure. I mean, I think that there's, we've had lots of different things. I know there's some folks who are writing in about affordable housing right now, and that's important too. And just to kind of see where the support is on the folks who take the time to write us emails and let us know what they want. I'd like to see that kind of as a pie chart, right, that we've heard from folks already.
Okay.
We can sift through those emails and tabulate that and bring that back. And just my apologies to council for any confusion about tonight. The need that we communicated at the work session was about the poll, and then secondarily, an opportunity to bring forward any adjustments. But the priority was about getting direction and move forward with the poll.
Okay. Hey, Amy, do you want to call a roll?
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordijk is abstaining. Councilor Barney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay. We have information reports. Does anyone have any?
There's another motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a last minute addition by me.
Yeah. Go ahead. You go ahead and make your motion. I apologize. I can't put my hands on it right this second. So
yeah, it's a 5B. So I move. God, I don't know where the wording is for this, but I move my motion from Councilor Phillips to proclaim that the first Friday in June as National Gun Violence Awareness Day.
Second.
And did we lose Mayor Bennett? Okay.
you did for just a second. I just wanted to go grab this just in case you had. Everybody has one of these, right? And you see the resolution. You want to explain it at all, Trevor? Or you want to just roll?
Totally. I would love to explain it because I'm plagiarizing entirely from Councilor Anderson. So this motion passed in May of 2020 when I served as a guest counselor. And I think last year we missed the timeline to get it done before the first Friday of June. So I did a back of the napkin calculation last Tuesday and realized, oh goodness, it has to be today. And it kind of got lost in email. So I apologize for its tardiness, but we're just restating the motion that passed prior city council in May of 2020, acknowledging the first Friday as National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and then the entire weekend. So this year, that's June 3rd, this Friday, and then the June 3rd through Sunday, June 5th, is the Wear Orange weekend, in memory of those lost to gun violence. I believe there may be a local event at Riverfront Park. I think Seize the No Drama Llama is going. So just check, social media for future posting. And then, wear orange in remembrance of those we've lost to gun violence. I think just broadly speaking, so many things, whether it's COVID-19, gun violence, climate crisis, there's a disproportionate impact, to demographics throughout our country. And recently, that's overlapped with what happened in Buffalo, New York. So, we as a city absolutely have already, condemned, white supremacy. And we've already stated that, racism is a public health threat as a council, and all of these things are overlapping with each other. So I view this motion as part of that process as well. But I envision this being something that happens every year. And I would appreciate my fellow councilors' support on this. My question to staff would be, if it's too late, could we change any of the lights, like on the pedestrian bridge, to orange? I know we changed the colors in solidarity with Ukraine. So if that's possible to do by this weekend, that's great. But I don't want to, put anybody at a safety issue. And those are my final thoughts.
Okay, great. Can you do orange, Peter, this weekend?
Yes, we can do orange. Councilor, the only issue is nobody goes up there to change bulbs. It's all done electronically. So it's
good. I hoped. LEDs are amazing.
Yeah, the only issue is if somebody's already reserved it. If there's no reservation, is it Friday? Is it this Friday or next Friday that you'd like?
This Friday, Friday 3rd.
Friday, we will
so
do
it's
it.
June 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
That's next Friday.
That's next Friday.
Thanks, guys. I work some night shifts. And
a week from it. 3rd, 4th, and 5th. A week from Friday.
Thanks.
We will do it.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you want to go again? No.
I'm good.
Okay.
Do I need to read? Do I have to read? What part of this resolution do I read?
It's up to you.
I
Or
can just
we
read
can
the
just
title.
vote on it and it's in the record.
Yeah, I'm fine with just moving to a vote.
Okay. Okay. Amy, could you call the roll on this?
Councillor Leung. I believe she dropped out of the meeting. Councillor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councillor Hoy.
Aye.
Councillor Nordijk.
Has anyone sent her a note yet?
I texted her a few minutes ago.
Did you? Okay, thanks.
Councillor Barney.
Aye.
Councillor Stapleton. Councillor Anderson.
Aye.
Councillor Phillips.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Councillor. Okay, we'll move then to information reports. Anyone have any special? Yes, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is about 6D, which is a motion to replat 5 lots at the Walmart expansion. I'm just looking at the map, and my question is this the current Walmart location? And when we're just doing something within that location, are we moving to expand the Walmart location? I think it's the current Walmart location. So I don't know what Jamie or Mr. Wright could tell us.
Hi, Councillor Anderson. Lisa Anderson will be Director Wright's absent today.
Okay.
This is the current Walmart site. They just have a bunch of different lots that they built over, and they're consolidating it into one lot for some.
That's perfect. That's what I thought it was when I looked at this, because they're pretty constrained. I know they're backed up against Cascade, and they don't have much on the south either, streets and stuff. So good. That's what I thought it was. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll move then to first readings. Councillor Stapleton.
One moment and I'll do the first reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mayor. Ordinance Bill number 1322, an ordinance designating the Eco Earth Globe located at 230 Front Street, Southeast, Salem, Oregon, as a local historic resource.
Okay, you want to comment on it? Virginia, do you want to?
Sure. Do I need to make the recommendation or are we just commenting?
I'm going to have you make the motion. I apologize,
Okay.
not
No worries. I move that staff conduct a first reading to consider ordinance bill number 1322, designating the Earth Eco Globe as a local historic resource, and after a public hearing, advance it to a second reading for enactment.
Second
that. Okay. Do you want to talk about it all?
Nope. I think this is great. We all think it's great. We can.
I do too. I hope somebody will send Roger Gertenrich a note. He is very excited, I know, about this kind of anything related to the globe moving forward. He's very excited about it, former mayor. Okay. Amy, if you'd call the roll.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordike. Absent. Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung is absent. Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. 7B.
Ordinance bill number 922, an ordinance amending the Salem Area Comprehensive Plan.
Okay, Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move City Council conduct a public hearing on ordinance bill number 9-22 for the purpose of updating the Salem Area Comprehensive Plan and advance to second reading.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, any discussion?
Sorry, quick one.
Yes.
So there will have a public meeting, and then after the public meeting, there'll be a second reading.
Yeah, there'll be a public hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Amy, do you want to call the roll?
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordike. Absent. Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung, I see, has rejoined the meeting.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, we'll go to the next Our Salem project at 7.1C.
Ordinance bill number 1022, an ordinance amending the Salem Area Comprehensive Plan map, the generalized land use maps in the Candu, Elna, Liberty Boone, Grant, Highland, Nesca, Lansing, Morningside, Nen Cessna, Sunny Slope, and West Salem neighborhood plans, and the Salem zoning map for properties across Salem.
Okay, Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move City Council conduct a public hearing on ordinance bill number 10-22 for the purpose of revising the comprehensive plan map, neighborhood plan maps, and zoning map and advance to second reading.
Second by Anderson. Any discussion? Okay, well, Amy, would you call the roll, please?
Councilor Nordike. Absent. Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. 7.1D.
All right, I'm going to share my screen in case anyone wants to follow along with Zira. One moment, please. All right. And one moment here. Okay. Bear with me here. Apologize for the delay. Let's see. Okay, my goodness.
Ordinance Bill number 1122. An ordinance relating to land use, amending SRC 30.405, 64.005, 0.015, 100, and 10.025, 0.030, 111.001, 205.030, 0.070, 210.005, 0.045, 220.005, 260.030, 300.100, 510.005, 0.010, 511.005, 0.010, 513.010, 514.010, 515, 515.005, 0.010, 0.015, 0.020, 521.010, 522.010, 523.010, 525.010, 533.010, 0.015, 534.010, 0.015, 543.010, 550.015, 551.005, 0.010, 552.010, 553.010, 554.010, 700.055, 702.005, 0.015, 0.020, 703.030, 0.070, 806.005, renumbering and amending SRC 537, repealing SRC chapters 215, 512, 520, 555, 556, 604, 605, 606, 608, 609, 612, 613, 614, 615, 616, 617, 619, 620, 626, 627, 628, 630, 631, 900.235, 0.240, 0.250, 0.255, 0.260, and 0.270, repealing and replacing SRC 532 and 535, and creating new provisions SRC 64.011, 0.026, 536, and 700.021.
Okay.
All right. Councilor Barney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordijk. Still absent. Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes.
I'm not sure we had a motion, but I think we're all going off of the agenda.
Oh, yes. I apologize. My goodness.
They all did the right thing though, Amy.
I know. Do you want to try it again? We can do it real quick. It's a public hearing. We may want to just do that. Let's go back and get a motion, Councilor White.
Thank you. I move City Council conduct a public hearing on ordinance bill number 11-22 for the purpose of revising the Salem Revised Code and advance to second reading.
Second.
Second by Leung. Yeah, that mechanical thing is really kind of hypnotic, isn't it?
A little bit.
Okay, let's try it again, Amy.
Oh, it sure was. I apologize. Let's see here. So Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke, absent. Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. 7.1E.
Oh, okay. Ordinance bill number 1222, an ordinance adopting the Salem Housing Needs Analysis, a support document of the Salem Area Comprehensive Plan.
Okay. Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move City Council conduct a public hearing on ordinance bill number 12-22 for the purpose of adopting the Salem Housing Needs Analysis and advance to second reading.
Second.
Second by Councilor Phillips. Discussion. Okay, Amy, you want to call the roll on this one?
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips.
Aye.
Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke, absent. Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, the only thing we have left is public comment on things not on the agenda. So we'll start with Brandon Morgove. I think Brandon might have given up on us. If you see him pop up, there he is. Brandon, you have 3 minutes and you'll need to turn on your mic. There we go.
Is anybody else here?
Oh yeah.
I have 3 minutes.
I don't know. I've got a list anyway.
Is it common practice to give a person 3 minutes when they've waited 2 hours and 57 minutes to talk? I thought I had 8 minutes to tell you my viewpoint.
No, you have 3.
Okay, here's what I wanted to propose. Last year, when I was in Portland, I have several different political ideas, social ideas. Last year, prior to the heat wave, I went to a place called City Repair Project to try and operate a plan to get portable air conditioners to people, elderly people that are perhaps mentally ill before summer hit, prior to that heat wave. I came up with a plan because I understand the value of that sort of thing to people who are going to be overheated this summer. Today, I rewrote the plan for Salem. The plan would have volunteer, perhaps firefighters and policemen, along with maintenance men at different apartment complexes, deliver portable AC units to people who needed them. I cannot explain how this all works in 3 minutes, but I have a way to make this viable. Now, you guys may not understand the importance of this, but I have been poor. I've been amidst the mentally ill before. And I understand this summer, whether it becomes an overheated summer or just a regular one, there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to be overheated in their apartments during COVID. People died last year. People may not have died if they would have listened. People would have listened to me. They probably could have saved some lives. I have a way to make this work. You can have restaurants. I worked at a restaurant downtown for a bit. Can provide food to people who participate in the events. I understand some of the weird technicalities of this, being that an apartment complex the ACs in themselves, because it's like a weird liability thing that but maintenance men can maybe do it at other apartment complexes other than theirs, volunteer to put it in. Now, I could draw up a plan for this and would like to submit to all the council members. This may not seem like a big deal to you guys, but it's a valuable idea worth pursuing. Now, how to pay for these? Well, possibly call Amazon and Jeff Bezos. They made a lot of money during COVID, and stuff like that. But also like a GoFundMe, and also maybe a little bit of money from the city to help purchase a few of these units. But if you go to a mental health clinic, and say, look, because a lot of people that are mental health or people that are elderly, they don't have friends or whatever that can deliver them an AC unit and put it in. Some of them don't know. But if you had a situation where you talk to their workers and the workers know, yeah, I got this person sitting in their overheated apartment, they could use this part of this program and then they can help facilitate. Now I could draw up a flyer and get a bunch of people, get this around to different churches, different mental health organizations to draw up a specific plan for how to work this and how to make it viable. And it's worth getting done.
Brandon, I'm sorry that the 3 minutes are up. It's a really great idea. I'm just going to suggest, and we'll have the counselors too, if they have any suggestions for you or questions. But
I don't like being muted by who.
You might be interested in talking with Marilyn Daly over at Center 50 Plus. I'm
going to talk to all of you guys because I'm sick of.
Okay.
Express myself. Do you understand?
Okay. Thanks, Brandon. Yeah.
No, it is. There are a bunch of counselors who do not know how to listen.
Did we lose the mayor?
I don't see his token anymore. So I feel like we're having technical issues.
Yeah.
I don't see him.
Okay. Let's see.
Do you have the speaker list, Councilor Hoy?
I think I have it in an email. Hold on just a moment. Let me find it.
But just, I mean, maybe a point of like my personal order or whatever, like just in general, people get 3 minutes, right?
That's correct.
3 minutes. I was actually going to ask him a question and give him a suggestion on how to take it a little further, but we didn't get that opportunity. So if Brandon's listening, you're always welcome to submit an email to City Council. There's no limit on the amount of information you send to us via email, and I would encourage you to do that. And I would also just let you know that Councilor Stapleton and I actually have a meeting coming up very soon on this very issue because it is an area that we recognize as important and the one we're going to try to work on. So thank you, Brandon, for coming down. And I hope you're able to give us the information that you wanted to send to us. So next we have...
I would have asked, sorry, Councilor Hoy, I would have asked him a question as well. This will just turn into a comment. I mean, it's just, I know he feels very strongly, and I would also encourage him to take that recommendation to email citycouncil@cityofsalem.net and to reach out to us in, long format. But this is a very personal issue. I was working in the emergency room last year during the heat dome when we did lose people as a direct consequence of heat. Many of people take this very seriously. I know that my partners and I in the emergency room kind of felt like that was a wartime event. People that didn't have to die did die. So please don't assume that we're indifferent. This is very real and we hear you. But, for our own regulatory reasons, mental health stuff, we got to, stay calm too.
Thank you, Councilor Phillips. I would also just, in my own capacity as a state representative, I know that there is conversation there as well regarding this topic as well. And so I know people are looking at it on a statewide level as well. So thank you. Corey Poole.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Corey. You know the drill. You have 3 minutes. Please tell us your name and what
yes. My name is Corey Poole. I am the chair of the Semka Neighborhood Association. All right. So we're talking about Cascade Gateway Park today. Have you ever had a bad neighbor? A neighbor who fails to take care of their property, a place where there are loud parties and fights at all hours, a neighbor that vandalizes the neighborhood, commits crimes, burns trash in the yard. I think many of us have had this experience. Now, what would you do if this bad property was owned by the city of Salem? And how would you react if this property was your neighborhood park? For the last 2 years, we in Semka have endured a continuous onslaught of theft, arson, assault, harassment, and trespass, along with the abuse and destruction of our neighborhood park, Cascade Gateway Park. Our city staff have exerted admirable effort through multiple cleanups, but without effective follow-up through the problems just keep coming back. We've had 2 years without fishing, without an off-leash area for dogs, without picnics, without disc golf, and all the other activities that make Cascade Gateway a great park that has provided recreation for Salem residents for decades. Just this meeting, we've heard that another cleanup is in the works. It's been far too long in coming. And what we ask from you is a commitment to make this happen quickly and to provide the resources to follow up and keep our parks safe. We will need a consistent effort on your part, along with enhanced enforcement presence at Cascade Gateway Park for some time after this, to get the residents of Salem to feel safe using this amazing and beautiful space. I hope you will commit to helping us make this happen. I also hope you will join us when we once again welcome all residents of Salem to safely and peacefully enjoy Cascade Gateway Park. All these pictures were taken from today.
Thank you, Corey, and thank you for keeping this issue in front of us. And we are committed to this, and I hear your frustration and I understand it. We're committed, and that's why we created the Community Sanitation Response Team. And it's taken us a minute to get that up and running, but I think that once it is, you will get the kind of thing exactly that you're asking for, which is a nimble team that's able to respond and prevent these situations from getting out of hand. So I know we've asked for your patience in the past, but we did actually put our money where our mouth is, and we do have a commitment. So I would just ask you for just a little bit more patience. Councilor Anderson.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Poole, for what it seems like your every council meeting visit, which is appropriate. I echo Councilor Hoy, and as you know, this is my neighborhood, my ward, so I'm especially interested. I just want to make sure the rest of the council understands that there are you have pictures of tents, and within a few dozen yards, there are pictures of buildings. Those are buildings, residences of members of Paradise Island. That's correct, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay, so that's
at the Elks Lodge.
Yeah, that's how close they are to you, and I think that's something that is very important for the council to realize. And I hope we do take action, as was discussed earlier in the meeting. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Again, thank you, Mr. Poole. I see we have Mayor Bennett back. We just finished up with Mr. Poole, Mayor Bennett. So we're going to the next person on the list after Mr. Poole.
Great, thanks. I got booted, so I had a little trouble getting back.
Yeah, who did that?
I'm not going to give you his name.
Are his initials CB?
Trying to bang me, kind of wake me up here. Kathy Reams.
Just a minute, he's getting it taken care of.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, my name is Kathy Reams, and I live here in Paradise Island. And as you mentioned, Mayor Bennett, there's a lot of senior citizens who are forgotten. And I can tell you there's about 300 here in Paradise Island and the Elks Club that feel we have been put on the back burner for the last 2 years with all the people that are over in Cascade Park. I live in the very corner of Paradise Island, and there's probably 4 or 5 tents within 50 feet of my house. And I am a widow, I live alone, and it doesn't feel safe with all these people in tents over there. That we've had lots of bicycles stolen, lots of things stolen out of people's property, people coming over the fence, and it's just not safe. And with the money that you guys have spent cleaning up the park once, now you have to do it again. If it had been enforced the first time, you wouldn't have this problem. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Kathy. Jerry Taylor.
Good evening. Good evening. I got a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry.
I got a question. When is that memorial for those that have died, the homeless people when is that memorial?
I think they said Saturday. I think
Thursday.
Thursday. I'm sorry, Thursday.
Okay, I don't want to sound like a smart aleck, but we had people not physically die here, but they can't go out of their house. They moved away. they might as well be dead because their whole dreams has been forfeited by no actions that's followed through. I just would like to get excited about you coming here in a few weeks and cleaning this up. But I wonder how many council members are going to be at that memorial, but how many council members has come out to Paradise Island or Cascade Gateway Park and just as concerned about the people that not physically died, but they're dead their whole life. They moved here because of their retirement. They wanted to have the rest of a happy life, but now they can't because it's over and over again. Now, I don't want to sound smart, but why can't I put them on a bus and move them up to your area? I don't, and I know that sounds like a smart aleck, but we're getting pretty disgusted. And I know you're going to say, just give me a little more time. We're working on the problem, but you worked on other problems where there's activities going. You know, the city of Salem is going to have activity. So you go right there and you clean it up. But here we are, the same thing, same time. And you expect us to really have hope when we know the things you'll say is give us time. I guess how much time I have no answers to this problem, but please be honest with us and don't tell us you're working on it. Something needs to be done. Let's ship them to the other part of town. I don't mind a few homeless people over here. We all need them in our neighborhood, but please don't let the church in the park keep them here because they feed them all the time. And that is a great problem. I don't know if you see that. I appreciate what the church in the park does, but it just keeps them here all the time. So I really ask you to give me a little more hope than say you're working on it. Give me a little more hope. Again, you'll be at the memorial Thursday. Were the rest of your team out here to look at our park and see, are we just interested after the fact when somebody dies? But there's senior citizens that their life has come to a stop because nothing's being done. Please, please, please.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And we hear what you're saying. Diana Sampson.
Hi, I'm Diana Sampson, and I live at Paradise Island. 3.5 years ago, when we moved here, we were so excited because Cascades Gateway Park was next door. We enjoy walking from our home to the park, on the trails to see all the wildlife, to walk along the creek, and through the park, seeing families picnicking, kids playing on the playground, people playing golf frisbee, people fishing and feeling safe. This is what we have missed for the last couple years. There are so many people here, seniors, that enjoy going to the park also. Obviously, this has all changed when the homeless were allowed to stay in the park. You all have heard from time to time, again and again, what's been going on. But everybody, or quite a few widow ladies are here. They live in trauma and fear because they're camped right outside their doors practically. We're being told that the park will be usable to the public on July 1st. We want to believe this will happen, but how many times have we been told they're clearing out the park only to have the homeless move back in within a few days with nothing being done to make them leave? Even with the gates up, the ropes and signs saying park is closed. It's time to stand up with some backbone and be firm that when a sign says no overnight camping means just what it says, or it should. A city park was never meant to be a homeless camp and trashed so badly that it can't be used for its intended use. There's a lot of cleanup to be done before July 1st, and we're hoping to see some progress, some positive progress in having our park back for its intended use by July 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Valentine.
He's not here. He's dialing in from his own computer. Or you should be.
Mr. Mayor, they said he's dialing in from his own connection, apparently.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So we might want to move on and because I don't see him on the list.
Carol Ricevy, I apologize. Ricevy.
That's okay if you have my name. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Thank you very much. My name's Daryl Resvey. I'm a past exalted ruler for the Salem Elks Lodge, and I'm also the host and maintenance for our park out back of the lodge. And we've been putting up with this on a daily basis. They sleep during the day, the homeless, and they come out at night and they come through our park and our overflow parking and steal us blind. We try to stay up and catch them. And when we do, we take the pictures that we have next door to the church of the park. And their answer is well, we can't control them. We can only control the people that are in the building, not in the park. So when I first got here, and that was 9 years ago, there was no homeless behind us. And we're like right on the edge. Soon as the church of the park started feeding them, they've been coming out like you would not believe. And the guy that's in charge of Church of the Park explained to me that they will feed anybody and help anybody, including what do I want to say, child molesters, thieves, you name it. And their mission is to help any and everybody except us. And we're the ones that are suffering for it. In another 2 weeks, we'll have lost 10 residents in our park. And that's $60,000 so we'll have lost that we cannot give back to the community because of the homeless. The people in our park are afraid.
They should be.
So I don't know. I know what the answer is, but and I've already expressed it. So the Church of the Park needs to find a different spot. That's the only way it's going to make it right for everybody around at Church of the Park.
It's a fun thing.
So hopefully you guys can give us a better answer. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bryce Waters.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. I appreciate the time that you guys are granting me. I'm a board member for the Capital City Disc Golf Club, and I wanted to speak as well about Cascade Gateway. I'd like to thank Kristen Rutherford for the update. Cascade Gateway is a vital part for our local disc golf community. The club hasn't been able to help with our MOU with the city for 2 years now because the park's been closed. The club has worked hundreds of hours every year to see our efforts be destroyed. We've worked with Friends of Trees to plant hundreds of trees, which are now destroyed, damaged, or missing. In 2020, UDisc, which is a mobile app that tracks disc golf and helps us find courses, recorded that in Salem we had over 10,600 rounds of disc golf played, and they figure that they only track about 1/5 the rounds. If you figure that puts us about 50,000 rounds at 2 hours a piece. That's about 100,000 hours of recreational time that we spend disc golfing. And with Cascade Gateway no longer available, that cuts into it hard. We one of our initiatives this year is to have a youth program and a junior league, and we're having to cap that as well because we're having to do it on a smaller course. Luckily, we were able to find a venue, but if we had the 18-hole course at Cascade, we could open it up to potentially to 72 kids. The 72 kids that, you know, we are getting outside, enjoying the outdoors, learning a hobby, and, you know, being healthy. I just want to thank you guys for your time. And Cascade, I'm sorry, Capital City would love to help in any future cleanup efforts. And we're always here to help.
Great. Thank you very much, Bryce.
Thank you.
Okay. That's everyone that's signed up. So, does anyone have anything else? Okay, we are adjourned.